What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 2BS 10% 026. Ron supervises the battle. The terrifying Great Flame Ring, Emperor Yan. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Ace had been waiting for Blackbeard in Alabasta. But there was no waiting. Unexpectedly, not long after leaving Alabasta, I got the news that Blackbeard was going to Alabasta. Then, turn back again, prepared to capture Blackbeard. As captain of Blackbeard, Blackbeard must make up for the mistakes he made. Just now, he never expected it, on the way back to Alabasta. We actually encountered a marine attack, but this isn't the first time I've been attacked by marine. After all, Ace is also the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates. Don't be afraid of these attacks at all. He held up the brim of his hat with one finger. Madara's face covered with tits, a sudden smile appeared. Now, countless shells are already in sight. For a normal person, there would be no way to hide. But Ace wasn't afraid at all. Fiery flames suddenly burst out from his fists. Then aimed the cannonball in the sky, he shouted loudly and scared. Fire punch. Subsequently, he punched the air violently. The entire fist suddenly turned into flames. The sky-wide fire instantly swept away all the cannonballs in the sky. Detonate the shell directly in the air. Countless firelights lit up the sky. The seawater is also illuminated by the firelight. Becomes red. Like magma. Wait until the smoke clears. Ace was unscathed. The cannonball just now was unable to cause any harm to him. Advertisement. The marine soldiers were horrified. Ando is worthy of being the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates. The legendary Fire Fist Ace really lives up to his name. It is said that this guy can punch through several warships with one punch. And at this moment, Smoker and his party have a total of 5 warships. They line up exactly in a row, and Ace also sensed this golden opportunity. Then, there is fire under my feet, drive speedboat. A quick whirlwind drift. Draw a semicircle on the sea. Went around to the side of the warship. The guy's motivations are obvious. I just want to punch through all 5 warships, fire punch. Ace charged up again. The right arm once again turned into a pillar of fire. It suddenly attacked the warship, and this time, Smoker finally took action. The lower body turned into smoke. Flying in midair, then he punched forward suddenly. White fist. Almost identical to Fire Fist. The entire fist turned into white smoke. It hit Ace's Fire Fist directly. The two collided fiercely in midair. A huge impact suddenly broke out. The surrounding seawater was raised several feet high. This round of confrontation, no one had the upper hand. Ace saw the person coming clearly. He laughed and said, "Who do I think I am? So it's you, Smoker. The two of us are really destined. In just a few days, we encountered it twice." Advertisement. Smoker snorted coldly. He said angrily, "It should be said that your luck is not very good. Last time, you escaped. You can't escape this time." Ace pushed his hat. Then he spread his hands. "Both of us are demon fruit power. Are you sure you want to fight me on the sea? This is not a good thing for the two of us. We didn't win last time. If we continue to fight this time, there will be no results. With the abilities of you and me, it would be really boring to fight." Smoker sneered. "I think you have misunderstood something. I'm not fighting you just because it's interesting. My goal is to catch you." Ace shook his head. He said with regret, "Then I'm afraid it won't work this time. If you want to catch me, save it for next time. I have important things to do now, and I don't have time to waste here with you." Ace can't wait to catch Blackbeard now, so he wasn't going to waste time here. Then, when I finished saying this, drive the speedboat immediately. Heading towards Alabasta at high speed. Of course Smoker couldn't just let Ace go. After all, the Inspector General is on board supervising the war. He didn't want to be punished for letting the pirates go without permission. So, he had to fight seriously. White Snake. While talking, Smoker strikes again. The smoky arm changes into the shape of a snake and aims at the target, hitting the enemy. And keep tracking until you hit it. Ace quickly dodged. Advertisement. Take advantage of the opportunity to attack. His hands were like machine guns. Start shooting in Smoker's direction. Countless small fireballs shot out from the direction of the finger. White smoke launcher. Part of Smoker's body turns into smoke, and the smoke is ejected to produce an explosive reaction. Use this power to quickly dodge Ace's attacks. White blast. Subsequently, continue the attack. Ace frowned. He said somewhat unhappily, "You guy, what happened today? Why are you fighting so seriously? You know you can't keep me, why are you attacking so hard?" However, Ace's answer was a series of attacks. has been under endless attacks. Ace was angry. I saw flames spurting out from under his feet, driving the speedboat to change direction rapidly. At the same time, point one hand to the sky. Circles of flames quickly filled the surrounding area. Then quickly moved toward the middle. The scorching flames swirled directly into a huge fireball in the air. Like the sun, this move is enough to destroy a small city. Great flame ring. Emperor Yan, Ace is going to throw this fireball. Directly hit 5 warships. This time, Smoker can be stopped. And these 5 warships cannot escape this move. If hit, these 5 warships, including their crews, will all be reduced to ashes. Smoker didn't expect Ace to have such powerful moves. This time, he is absolutely unstoppable. What to do? Smoker panicked. 10% 027. If you don't know hockey, you can't deal with Logia. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Scorching fireball. Being held high above Ace's head, the surrounding water quickly became scalding hot. Begins to roll. Rising water vapor. Turn the battlefield into a dreamlike experience. Half of the sky was illuminated red. It can be seen that this fireball is like the sun. How terrifying its core temperature must be. Emperor Yan lived up to his reputation. Smoker. If you catch me like this, as the captain of Whitebeard's 2nd Division, haven't I brought shame on my father? Goodbye. Smoker frowned, made a final desperate struggle. White smoke. He punched Yanjia. The white fist touches the fiery ball of fire. It's like a mud cow entering the sea. It couldn't make any waves at all. None of them caused any damage to the blazing fireball. Until this moment, he just found out. I had a 50-50 ace match with myself before. What a huge backstop, if we really fight seriously. I really am no match for him, the true strength of this guy. The choice is not as simple as it seems. Actually, think about it. He is the captain of the 2nd Division of the strongest 4 Emperor's Whitebeard pirates. If you don't have certain strength, how could he be the captain of a pirate group with all monsters like this? The time this guy fought with himself before, in fact, we didn't try our best at all. If not, just like this scene now, he is no match at all. He had already used his strongest attack just now. Advertisement, but there was still no way to stop this blazing fireball. This fireball is too big. I was like an ant in front of him. It is larger than the 5 warships put together. Just smash it down on this scale. There is simply no way to avoid it. What's more, it's a behemoth like a warship. There was no time to escape. This is how to do. The Inspector General is still on board. There are so many Marine soldiers on board too. This is bad. They can't escape. Is the whole army really going to be annihilated here? My mission is to pick Ron up to take a job at the Marine headquarters. Unexpectedly, he was screwed up by himself. It hasn't been delivered yet. He will be buried here by pirates. Smoker this time. Really panicked. He misjudged his opponent's strength. He also thought highly of his own strength. Now, the people on the warship also saw this scene. This giant great fireball overhead. It's just too oppressive, boiling heat, coming at you. Even if it's still far away, you can feel that the skin of your body is on fire. There is no way to face this scene. It's just too hot. Not only that. Canvas on a warship. I can't bear the scalding heat at this moment. It actually started to burn. The wooden planks on the warship also began to crackle. It started to smoke. This is only affected by the residual heat. The body of the giant great fireball has not been thrown down yet. Advertisement. It's already so scary, if it really falls down in a while. Wouldn't everyone be instantly reduced to ashes? Crisis. An unprecedented crisis. Is this the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates? It's so terrifying. Such terrifying strength. One person can easily deal with 5 warships. He is worthy of being the captain under the strongest man. Now, only then did Toshigi feel the sword he was holding. Face this scene. How pale and powerless. There wasn't even a chance to fight back. Smoker is no match for him. These Marine soldiers don't even know armament hockey. How can it be Logia's opponent? Every attack by Logia is of disaster level. And these Marine soldiers, still making useless attacks with guns. When the bullet was fired at Ace, he doesn't even shy away. Due to Logia's special physique, there is no entity at all. When the bullet hit, it passed directly through the body. Only a few holes are left, then it quickly recovered. Can't cause any harm at all. Even so, this is also their only means of attack. After all, hockey is not something that can be mastered casually. Ordinary bullets, there is simply no way to do anything about Logia. Quick! Protect the Inspector General at this time. Stussy uses shave. He quickly blocked in front of Ron. She knew Ron's identity. We must not let anything happen to Ron here. Advertisement, and it is understood that Ron probably doesn't know how to use hockey. So, it is simply impossible to withstand such an attack. This is not a simple physical attack, even if the body can withstand the blow. But I'm also afraid of high temperatures, Iron Body. She already knew, it's too late to stop Ace now. Because Ace's ultimate move has been released. Even if she could step forward and stop Ace, there was no way to stop such a big fireball from crashing down. So it is urgent. She had to prioritize protecting Ron's safety. I saw her shout loudly, blocked Ron with his body. Iron Body was then used. She was prepared to use her body to protect Ron's safety. As for whether the Iron Body could block the Great Flame Emperor's flame ring, she was not sure. Now, Ace also saw this scene. He was also curious. Why do so many people protect that man behind them? Who is this guy? But, now I can't care so much. No matter who he is, let's follow Yan Ring and be buried under the sea. Ace lifts the great fireball, then aim downward. Shout loudly. Then he threw it out. Terrifying momentum. Overwhelming strength. This extremely huge fireball is like the sun. The pupils in the crowd are getting bigger and bigger. Looking at it, it will swallow up the people in the boat together. 028. Give way and stop me from punching previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Sir Ron, hide behind me and don't come out. Stussy suddenly discovered at this moment, a pair of big hands patted her shoulders. It's Ron behind him. This made her a little nervous. I was afraid that Ron would be injured by the flame ring. So give a reminder immediately, although she had to admit. Ron's physical abilities are very strong, but Stussy thinks, due to his status as Celestial Dragons, Ron has been in Marijoy and has not come out. So it is impossible to have any practical experience. It is even more impossible to fight against the strong Logia. So, they definitely don't know the power of the strong Logia. The most important thing is, Lord Ron doesn't have armament hockey. This is what worries her most. With physical strength, there is no way to resist such scorching heat. This is why, Stussy saw Ron with half of his body exposed at this moment. The reason for being so nervous, use her common sense. A person without hockey protection, no matter how strong your physical strength is, there is no way he can resist this move, to protect Ron's safety. Stussy ordered immediately. Let all CP0 subordinate members accompanying this escort. All lined up, a human wall formed in front of Ron. The gang wore dark suits, there was no hesitation. Immediately. Use Iron Body. Stand neatly in a row of human barriers. Advertisement blocking Ron perfectly, Stussy thinks. As long as this group of people can resist the first round of flames and face the impact. So, this can protect Master Ron from dying because of this. Stussy doesn't care about other people's lives, as long as Master Ron survives. This is their CP0 style. Although Stussy looks beautiful and generous on the outside, she is very cold on the inside. In her eyes, there are only tasks. The same goes for these guards in dark suits. They are all espionage members who have been selected and trained since childhood. Extremely loyal. Their mission this time was to protect Ron. The mission is the most important thing in their eyes. So anyway, protecting Ron's life must be the first priority. And this scene, it also caught Ace's attention. As smart as he is, immediately I noticed something unusual about this ship. It seems, the mission of this ship is to escort an important person. Before, Ace hasn't paid much attention to this matter yet. But now that I have decided to attack, so, if you can kill an important person in Marine. So why not? See so many people protecting him. This guy must be extremely important to Marine. Wrong. These people in black clothes should be world government personnel. That is to say, the man they were protecting was not Marine. It should be someone from the world government. Advertisement. Ace quickly thought of the information he received a day ago. It is said that Marine is getting a new Inspector General. And this Inspector General is a person sent by the world government. Taken together with the situation at hand, it is clear. This guy should be the so-called Inspector General. Because Ace has been floating on the boat these days. So I didn't see yesterday's live broadcast of killing Shichibukai at all. That is to say, he didn't know what the Inspector General looked like. But moments. He could deduce from the scene before him that this guy was the Inspector General. It also fully proves Ace's intelligence, when I think of this. Ace adjusted the center point of his attack to Ron's direction. Since he is a member of the world government, and it's taken so seriously. It seems that the identity must not be simple, then focus your firepower to kill him. Stussy never thought of it, such a huge fireball. After being thrown out, it can actually adjust its direction in the air. Originally, its attack focus was to destroy 5 warships at the same time. So, in order for the fireball attack to achieve this effect, the previous aiming direction was in the middle of the 5 warships. And Ron was on the first warship, on the edge. So, Stussy thought that this human wall could withstand the impact of the spread of flames. After all, it is not a direct impact, the power will be much less. But at this moment, it never occurred to her, the fireball changed direction. Advertisement: it's no longer about taking out 5 warships. Instead, focus your firepower. Kill the warship they are on. Now, what they are about to bear is the most frontal impact of the Great Yan Emperor's flame ring. Such injuries, it is several times larger than the situation just now. This is definitely not something that can be blocked by just a few human walls. Such terrifying temperatures, if you face the impact directly, it will evaporate them instantly, it can't be stopped at all. How is this going? Did this ace discover Master Ron? No, it must not be carried on forcefully. Stussy turned around quickly. I was going to hold Ron in my arms, then use Shaver to dive into the sea as quickly as possible. In this case, relying on seawater can resist most damage. The rest of the impact, just use your back to protect Sir Ron and bear it. However, she just wanted to hug Ron and jump into the sea. Just found out, those big hands held her shoulders like iron vices. Stussy tried her best but couldn't struggle, he was looking at Ron confused and anxiously. Sir Ron, it's too late, dance with me, however. Ron looked indifferent, pushed Stussy away, subsequently. He said in a very calm tone, looks like I have to do it myself. You gave way and blocked my punch. 11% 029. Ron punches ace instantly, Conqueror's Awakening. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Stussy was stunned when she heard this. Now is not the time to act cool, although she had to admit it. Ron was really handsome when he said that just now. But, shouldn't life-saving be the most important thing now? Moreover, this Great Flame Emperor's flame ring. No joke. Now, the huge fireball is close at hand. And Ron, but he was unhurried, look up at the great fireball. A wave of scalding heat hit my face. Ron couldn't help but smile. Subsequently, his expression suddenly turned cold. A pressure, it spread out from Ron's body instantly. Marine is close, instantly foaming at the mouth. Fainted directly. Who gave you the courage to point the finger at me? The voice is cold, even though there is such a blazing fireball in front of me. It still makes people shudder, a chill ran down my spine. Ron finished speaking, swinging his fist violently at the huge fireball. In an instant, the entire air seems to be compressed to the ultimate. Immediately, an impact visible to the naked eye materialized. It's as if I can see it in the air. Advertisement. A looming one appears, huge transparent fist, like a rainbow shining through the sun. Carrying extremely domineering impact, cutting through the sky. It rubs against the surrounding air and makes a harsh roar. It makes people smell like falling into an ice cellar. Like a substantial fist of air, extremely fast. Go straight for the great fireball, in a blink. The two sides collided together. The surrounding marine soldiers all raised their heads. He stared at this scene dumbfounded. There was no evenly matched collision between the two. But absolutely crushed. The moment when the impact of the fist comes into contact with the giant great fireball. Yanji collapsed immediately. It doesn't stop there. There was no scene of sparks flying after the great fireball collapsed. Instead, it dissipated instantly. It was as if the flame had never existed. Ron's punch was so powerful that it drained the air around him. The flame loses the necessary conditions for burning. Direct destruction, except for leaving a wisp of smoke. There is no evidence of its existence. The scalding heat wave also dissipated. The cool sea breeze blows over. Marine, who almost suffocated those around him. Finally I can breathe in the fresh and refreshing air. However, this isn't over yet. The impact of this punch was far more than that. And Ron's purpose is not just to disperse the fireballs. I saw the extremely overbearing impact just now. While defeating the fireball, didn't stop. Advertisement. Instead, he headed straight for Ace. Ace at this moment. He was looking at his Great Flame Emperor flame ring in astonishment. Unbelievable. Just disappeared? He was actually beaten to death by this weak-looking bald man with one punch? Wasn't this guy still under everyone's protection just now? If he is so strong, what were these guys doing protecting him just now? Are you crazy? Wrong. Why is the aura erupting from this guy so familiar? And it's still getting stronger? It's Conquerors. Damn, is this someone who just woke up? However, before Ace could continue to be surprised, I felt a suffocating pressure suddenly hit my face. Now, from his perspective, like a fist as big as Mount Tai. with the power of thunder, swooped towards him. He could clearly feel the impact, although it is invisible. But he just can feel it. This is air compressed ultimate. A fist-shaped shockwave is formed. Not only that, Ace suddenly felt it. The pair of eyes in the distance were staring at him. Like a wild beast. The aura exuding from him, full of intimidation. Ace at the moment. Just like an ant looking up at an elephant. Advertisement. His whole body was shaking uncontrollably. The pupils are constantly contracting and dilating. Extremely frightened. My brain is trembling. This expression is just like the one with the snow fruit ability before he was hit by Zoro's knife. Absolute suppression of momentum. He was actually influenced by his conquerors. Ace wanted to immediately avoid the opponent's attack through elementalization. But the body doesn't obey its orders. He actually couldn't control the elementalization of his body. Just like the time when the snow fruit ability user faced Zoro. This is a huge gap in strength, and the momentum generated is shocking. Damn it. Ace never thought that one day he would lose control of his body due to fear. I could only barely raise my hands to cover my head. Next moment, huge impact, coming straight at you. Just this moment. Ace felt like all the bones in his body were broken. It felt like a huge mountain was pressing down on me. A face-to-face meeting. He just knocked Ace away. Ace's body, he was driven at great speed by the huge punch force. Friction on the sea surface. The whole sea, a huge gully was drawn. Set off huge waves, stretching to the end of the field of vision. At the same time, except for the roar of the sea, the whole scene was extremely quiet. All the marine soldiers stared wide-eyed. With incredible eyes. Look at Ron. 11% 030. By coincidence, Garp and Aokiji went to the Seven Waters capital to catch Luffy. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. To be honest, Ron didn't expect that he could awaken Conqueror's Haki. The strength of Conqueror's Haki is related to its strength. Because Ron is already very strong now, so, Conqueror's has reached an extremely strong level just after awakening. Now, Ron feels Haki's power. I couldn't help but sigh. It turns out Haki feels this way. In fact, he did not use all his strength in this attack. Because he was afraid of killing Ace with one punch. After all, Ace is still very valuable. Leave him alive. Very useful for future planning. If he dies, there is no way to seduce Whitebeard to start the Summit War. But Ron looked into the distance. This punch was still not well controlled and the force was still a bit strong. I don't know where Ace went. What are you looking at me doing? Go get Ace back. Ron said to Smoker. Yes. Smoker nodded repeatedly. After this battle, he completely understood Ron's terror. Although this is not Ron's first shot, Ron had taken action 2 or 3 times before. But that's not fighting the enemy, so it's not very intuitive to watch. Which also leads to, although these Marines knew that Ron had a strong physique. But I don't know how strong it is, but at this moment, they could see it clearly, advertisement especially Smoker. Because he was involved in the entire battle, he had a total of 2 battles with Ace. The first time was in Alabasta, the second time was here. In the first battle, he failed to gain any upper hand. And this second battle, he was even more defeated. So, among those present, Smoker should be the one who knows Ace's strength best. The strength this guy showed just now is worthy of being the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates. It's really powerful. I was powerless to fight back in front of him. However, such a powerful person, but he was killed directly by the Inspector General with one punch. Just one punch, and look at the relaxed look on the Inspector General's face. It seemed like he wasn't using his full strength at all. Smoker shook his head. Get rid of the thoughts in your mind. Then lead a warship, along the direction of being blown away. Full speed ahead. Search for Ace, and at this moment, Tashigi is properly arranging the injured. These wounded were not injured in combat with the enemy. It was the impact of Ron's punch just now, because that punch was too strong. Strong wind pressure caused some people to lose their footing. Then they fell directly into the sea, and some hit the mast. There are also some people who have weak willpower. Stunned by Ron's Conqueror's Haki, still sleeping now. In fact, Ron has well controlled the scope of Conqueror's influence. After all, he has just awakened and is still a bit unskilled in control. It still inevitably impacted some people who were relatively close. Stussy was almost knocked unconscious. Advertisement. She knew before that Ron didn't know how to Haki. That is to say, the Conqueror's Haki just awakened. I didn't expect it to be so powerful when I first woke up. Stussy was shocked. It seems that this Inspector General is really talented. And at the same time, in the sea far ahead, a warship is sailing neither fast nor slow. The bow of the warship is a dog's head. On deck, placed 2 sun loungers and a parasol. A man wears a blindfold, lie quietly on the chair. Seems to be asleep. And on another chair, a person is eating potato chips and drinking Coke, very comfortable. One of these 2 is Aokiji and the other is Garp. This dog-headed warship is Garp's exclusive warship. The 2 just set off from Marine headquarters this morning, getting ready to go to the capital of 7 waters. Aokiji is just taking advantage of the situation. This trip was mainly for Garp to catch Luffy, just the day before yesterday. Something big happened. Luffy makes a scene in the Enies lobby and rescues Nico Robin from it. And after getting this news, Sengoku was furious. Get ready to capture Luffy. It is rare for Garp to volunteer. Take on the task of capturing Luffy. And Aokiji also wanted to follow him for the first time. Both of these guys have ulterior motives, because this matter is related to both of them. One because of Luffy and one because of Nico Robin. Luffy is very weak now, so Garp must take the initiative to capture Luffy. After all, if it were someone else who caught me, what would I do if I got caught? And the reason why Aokiji passed is because of Nico Robin. Advertisement more than 20 years ago, it was he who personally let Nick Robin go. In the final analysis, the root cause of this matter lies with yourself. So he wasn't worried. Take the initiative to go with Garp. Only, I don't know if it's to give the other party time to recuperate. These 2 guys slowed down the boat very slowly. It's not like arresting people at all. Instead, it's like going on vacation. Just these 2 old guys lying under the sun umbrella. When the sea breeze blows pleasantly, suddenly, they both opened their eyes and stood up at the same time. Immediately afterwards, I felt a sudden huge wave ahead. It seemed as if something was cutting through the sea and speeding towards this side. Both observation hockey are outstanding. I sensed this scene in advance. Just one breath. Just passed by their ship. It's too fast. So much so that neither of these guys could see clearly what it was. But the waves created by cutting through the sea surface. But it almost capsized their warship. Fortunately, Aokiji's ability to use. Instantly freezing the entire ship on the sea, it was fixed hard. Now, the 2 looked at each other. What's this? Did you see clearly? Both of them shook their heads. There's a ship coming ahead. After a while, Smoker's warship. Driving in this direction at full speed. Vice Admiral Garp's ship is seen frozen there at an angle about to tip over. I couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. If Lord Inspector General were to deviate a little further, I'm afraid he would have penetrated Vice Admiral Garp's ship as well. 031. Supervisor Garp arrests Luffy. How dare you let him go? Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Originally, Garp and Aokiji were guessing, what was it that flew over just now? At this time, an acquaintance suddenly came. It was rare for Aokiji to speak in a non-lazy tone. Asked. Smoker, what are you doing here? What are you doing? Why are you in such a hurry? Smoker and Aokiji are good friends themselves. The relationship between the 2 is excellent. So, this time we met suddenly in the vast sea. There must be a few surprises, however at this moment. Smoker didn't have time to chat here, after all. He is very anxious now. I'm afraid it might be too late. Ace is nowhere to be found. We must follow and search while the scratches on the water surface have not dissipated. At least this way there's still a trace, otherwise. After a while the sea calmed down, but I really can't find it. That's really like finding a needle in a haystack. Then, Smoker said hurriedly, talk about it later. I'm busy looking for someone now. As soon as this statement came out, Aokiji became even more confused. Who are you looking for on the sea? Who are you looking for? The waves are too loud. So, Smoker could only shout, it's the person who flew past you just now. Hearing this sentence, Aokiji fell silent for a moment. Glanced at Garp. The 2 of them couldn't help but suddenly realized. Then he blurted out, is that someone who flew over just now? Garp added in disbelief. Advertisement, this. Is this someone who was beaten away? Garp is also a power player. If the person who flew over just now was really a person, that would be horrible, speaking from his experience. It is impossible to knock someone away so far, but the object just now was obviously blown away. If that's the case, who has such terrifying power? We'll talk about it later. After Smoker said this, just continued to chase into the distance. At this time, Garp suddenly discovered that Smoker was just a warship, and it didn't look like there was an Inspector General on board. After all, Smoker's task should be to take over the appointment of the Inspector General. But why did you come back? Weren't he and the Inspector General still together yesterday? Why is there only one warship left now? Could it be that there was an ambush? Think of this. Garp immediately shouted in the direction where Smoker was going. Why are you alone? Where's the Inspector General? The sound drifted into the distance. After a while, Smoker's voice came distantly, and Smoker has disappeared without a trace. In the back, Aokiji and Garp scratched their heads. A look of confusion. Behind? What's happening here? Why don't they go together? At this time, 4 warships appeared in view. This was the ride taken by Ron and others. They are responsible for traveling normally. And Smoker brought a warship to find people. Tashigi. Inspector General, ahead is Vice Admiral Garp's ship. Advertisement. Why is it frozen? Stussy suddenly laughed and said. It must have been almost overturned by the shockwave just now. So Aokiji Admiral used this method to fix it. After the 2 fleets approached, Garp and Aokiji saw the bald man on the deck at a glance. This guy is so obvious. Very recognizable. And yesterday, the 2 of them also met Ron on the live broadcast of Radio World. So, recognized instantly. This was also the first time they met offline. Aokiji unfrozen. The warship landed smoothly on the sea. Subsequently, the 2 main ships approached each other and their decks were close together. Garp and Aokiji arrived on Ron's warship. It's really unexpected that the Inspector General is so young. Garp said while picking his nose, your actions yesterday really shocked the world. I didn't dare to have my own way like you when you were young. Ron glanced at the 2 of them, then he smiled calmly. Said, I didn't expect to meet you 2 in advance. You 2 are the ones I focus on. Of these 2 people, one is reckless and the other is lazy. Some at war. Can you believe that Garp can be punched away by Luffy? This is not just releasing water, it is equivalent to releasing the sea. And this guy Aokiji, not very positive either. When Trajafalo's submarine escaped with Luffy, the Ice Age release was also inexplicable. As Inspector General, given the behavior of these 2 guys, it must be focused on. Garp and Aokiji were stunned. I have never seen such a greeting before. Logically speaking, when we meet for the first time, shouldn't we exchange business bragging rights? I've finished blowing you. You guy, you don't play by the rules. Advertisement also. What do you mean by this? What is the focus of attention? Completely baffling. Oh, this new Inspector General is really interesting to talk about. Garp said with his hands on his hips. Ron smiled. Then asked. Now that you've met him, you might as well ask. Where are you 2 going? Garp then laughed and said. I'm going to arrest this F***Ker Luffy. This guy dares to cause trouble in Eni's lobby. He is indeed my grandson. Ha 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 ha, although Garp said Luffy was an asshole. He looked like he was eager to catch him and bring him to justice. But listen to this tone, and this bohemian smile. It doesn't look like he's trying to capture Luffy at all. On the contrary, he was very proud. The grandfather's pride in his grandson is revealed everywhere. Ron sneered. Can you catch Luffy if you go to arrest him? Who believes it? Do you still know about Garp's little thoughts? Only. This time I have the Inspector General here. Still want to continue releasing water? Will this allow him to succeed? Are you kidding me? This time, I will supervise you the whole time. Watching you catch Luffy. Can I let you go? Do you dare to give one a try? Ron smiled evilly. I feel your determination to capture Luffy. In that case, I'll go with you. You don't mind, do you? As Inspector General, I have the qualifications and the obligation to supervise your work. You should also be happy to cooperate with me. 032. Ron's aura calms Garp Aokiji. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Garp. Garp was speechless. What a strange way the plot unfolds. How could you see my determination to capture Luffy? Who wants you to follow him? How did you know that I am willing to cooperate with you? Garp quickly pulled an old face. He remembered Ron's performance yesterday. This guy. Act ruthlessly and decisively, no mercy at all. Shichibukai means to chop it off. It can be said that there are no rules at all. No one's face is given. If this guy really went to the capital of 7 waters with him, what will happen? I really can't say for sure. What if this guy really stares at me? How can I let my good grandson go free? Is it possible that I really want to let me catch my own grandson? How can this be? He is my dear grandson, if I really want to capture Luffy. Just ask Sengoku to send anyone there. Why take the initiative to invite Ying to come in person? Didn't I just come here to let loose? With this Inspector General watching from the side. How to release water? The thought of this. Garp immediately shook his head. Blurted out. No need to. I appreciate the kindness of the Inspector General. But to deal with a little hairy pirate like Luffy, it's enough for me to go alone. You don't need so many people to deal with him. There's no need to bother the Inspector General traveling with him. Advertisement. After all, you haven't gone to Marine headquarters to take up your job yet. Technically, that's not counting the Inspector General yet. Besides, you've been tired from traveling all the way, and you worked hard in Alabasta yesterday, so you'd better go back to the Marine headquarters to take a rest. Ha ha ha, Garp smiled awkwardly. Instead, Ron suddenly became serious. Then he said, Garp, I'm not negotiating with you. I'm just letting you know. Ron finished, patted Garp on the shoulder. Garp. Garp's old face darkened, hateful. I sighed secretly in my heart. I don't know why I am so unlucky. The vast sea, endless as far as the eye can see. How could I meet Ron? This is really bad luck, right? This guy is doing his best not to go to the headquarters to work. He just wanted to come over and supervise me. Look at the tone of this Inspector General. It must not be a joke. This guy, it seems that you are determined to supervise me. It is foreseeable that this way, it will definitely not go smoothly. By the way, Aokiji, are you going to capture Luffy too? Ron changed the subject. Said to Aokiji on the side. Somehow, Ron obviously looks young. Advertisement? But it gives people a sense of oppression from a superior. The two Marine seniors stood here. There is actually a feeling of waiting to be lectured by the boss. Aokiji has been in the military for decades. I have never seen any big scenes. Now, the identity is already Admiral. It is the highest combat power of Marine. It stands to reason. This identity and strength should be worthy of being faced with anyone. But, faced with Ron's sudden question, he actually felt a little guilty. How is this going? Aokiji touched his chin, then he said. No, I'm just taking a ride. Ron deliberately emphasized his tone. Said, oh, that's right. I thought you were going to see how the little Robin you let go was doing. In a word, Aokiji felt a chill running down his back. I couldn't help but shudder. Wrong, I am a person with frozen fruit ability. Isn't it normal to have a cold feeling on your back? I was so farted that I shivered. Aokiji's expression changes instantly. There is the tension of having a secret revealed. But still pretending to be calm, at the same time. My heart began to keep reminiscing. It's not right. What happened when I let Nico Robin go? Only I know. No one else could possibly know. Advertisement, could it be Sol Vice Admiral? Impossible. He was frozen to death by me 20 years ago. So, it's impossible for anyone to know that I was the one who let Robin go. How did the Inspector General know? And judging by his tone. It's like seeing it with your own eyes. This is even more impossible. He looked to be no more than 20 years old. Maybe he wasn't even born back then. How could it be possible to witness this scene with my own eyes? Aokiji couldn't figure it out. How did Ron know this? However, at this time, Ron suddenly smiled, then he said. Take it easy. After all, this is a thing of the past. I have just taken office, and I just informed you about supervision matters yesterday. Our new law will not judge old cases, so, I don't have to pursue this matter. But, when Ron said this, there was a pause. His eyes suddenly became serious. Look at Aokiji. But then, if something like this happens again. No mercy. Garp and Aokiji never thought of it. The first one to meet, he was actually shocked by this Inspector General. Now, the two people's emotions were very complicated. I always feel like someone is grabbing my pigtails. And still unable to break free. 033. Luffy is Garp's bottom line. Who dares to really catch him? Previous chapter, next chapter advertisement, if you insist on following us. Then turn around now. Garp snorted coldly, he said displeased ly. No matter what, he couldn't openly reject this so-called Inspector General. Since he wants to supervise, then let him come along. My skill in releasing water is so high, I don't believe you can see it then. Even if you can tell, what else can you do? Can you still teach me a lesson? Who in the world government can do anything against me? The 5 elders know that my son is a revolutionary soldier and my grandson is a pirate. Why don't you still let me work at the Marine headquarters? How high is my reputation in Marine? They know it very well. The reason why I can still serve as Vice Admiral at the Marine headquarters is that I have made repeated mistakes. Except for the name Marine Hero. What's more important is my strength. These 5 old guys didn't dare to say anything openly. You are the Inspector General sent by the world government. Could it be braver than 5 elders? Or is it more powerful than the 5 elders? Still stronger than me. Garp turned his back. Order the 2 fleets to merge into one. Prepare to go to the capital of 7 waters together. Aokiji, on the other hand, remained silent. He couldn't understand the Inspector General. At first he didn't understand. How did the Inspector General know about what happened more than 20 years ago? Those who know this matter, just myself and Robin. He never told anyone. Advertisement, and I don't believe Nico Robin will tell this matter. So, how did the Inspector General know? Secondly, he was not sure. Was this Inspector General really here to rectify Marine? If that's really the case, so this trip, Vice Admiral Garp and he are bound to get into trouble. There might even be a fight. Aokiji knows Garp very well. Garp is very qualified as a Marine. Be worthy of justice behind your back. No matter what the enemy is, they can attack with all their strength and punish them severely. But there is one exception. That's anything that involves his grandson. The justice behind this guy seems a lot blurry. Others don't know this. But Aokiji, who has always respected Garp, but it's extremely clear. He had no doubts. If anyone dares to kill Garp's grandson, so Garp will definitely fight back without mercy. It's precisely because he knows Garp's bottom line. So, not long ago, when he met Luffy, it was just a symbolic freezing of him. But he deliberately failed and allowed Usopp and the others to rescue Luffy. Otherwise, with the strength of the Straw Hats, how could he rescue someone under the eyes of an admiral like him? If you say this, who would believe it? The reason why Aokiji does this. It is precisely because he knows Garp's temper and bottom line. So, advertisement, he didn't want to cause trouble. After all, Garp's Iron Fist, it's not just a name for what it is. Although there is no evidence that Garp will do this. After all, this has never happened, but Aokiji just believes it. If there really is such a day, the word justice behind me can't hold Garp down. This guy, there will inevitably be a crazy counterattack. In the eyes of outsiders, this guy Garp has a free-range attitude towards his grandson. Basically, he is not a good grandpa. Luffy is often left in various wilderness areas. It seems, not really concerned about Luffy's appearance either. But only those who truly understand Garp will understand. This old guy treats his own grandson, what a protector. Although Aokiji usually looks lazy, but he is very smart. He didn't want to be the victim of verification. Wait a moment. We can't leave now. Just when Garp ordered all fleets to turn around. Ron said suddenly. Oh, why is that? Garp wondered. Isn't this guy going to supervise himself to catch Luffy? Why did you suddenly stop leaving? It would be better not to leave. Do you think I am willing to let you go? Garp thought Ron had gone back on his word. Never imagined. Ron said. Wait until Smoker brings them back. Advertisement at this moment. Garp then remembered that Smoker seemed to have said he wanted to find someone just now. It turns out we were looking for someone for the Inspector General. Is it possible? Was that person beaten away by the Inspector General? How can this be? This guy doesn't look like such a strong person. And there are only a few powerful people in world government. I know them all. I have never heard of a bald person being very powerful. Thinking of this, Garp felt relieved again. Just waited here for half an hour. Garp is happy to wait here anyway. His actions in capturing Luffy were very frustrating. Can you wait here a little longer? It would also be nice to give Luffy and the others a little more breathing space. So boring. Garp chatted with Aokiji. By the way, through the phone bug, I reported the incident of the Inspector General's trip. Reported to Sengoku. After a while, Smoker's warship came into view again. This guy. The person has been found, on the way back. Finding someone this time was truly the most exciting task Smoker had ever experienced. It can be called fast and furious. The warship had been driven to extreme speed by him, and now it was still puffing out smoke. Finally, before the scratches on the sea surface disappeared, Ace's sinking spot was found. When he found Ace, the other party had already suffered fractures all over his body and was unconscious. If he hadn't discovered that he was still breathing a little bit, Smoker didn't think he could still be alive after being injured like this. And this time, Garp doesn't know yet that the man Smoker brought back is Ace. 13% 034. Garp's neck feels cold. Ron's smile hides a knife. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Inspector General Ron, I'm back. He still has breath, Smoker said with excitement. Although the search process is very difficult, but Smoker didn't say a word when he came back. After all, under Ron's education, Smoker has now become a real soldier. No matter how hard or tired I am, I won't tell you. Only, his warship is considered useless. Keep going at full power. The interior is now completely gutted. There was billowing smoke. I finally managed to get back on my feet. I'm afraid it's completely unusable now. Bring it up. Ron waved his hand with satisfaction. Originally he was worried, in case the strength is not under control. What if we kill Ace too, knowing that he is still alive? Ron also relaxed. Just have one breath left. As long as there's breath left, Ron can guarantee that he will not die. After all, Ace is still useful, if there is no Ace. The summit war cannot be fought. Yes, Smoker got the order. Then I glanced at Aokiji and Garp. He went to order someone to carry Ace up. And aside, Garp and Aokiji looked at this scene. Always feel like something is wrong that you can't explain? Correct. Something's wrong with Smoker. Why doesn't this guy even smoke? And he was dressed very neatly. Even her hair was cut short and combed again. What's going on? Is this still the same bohemian Smoker? Advertisement. Aokiji and Smoker are very good friends. So, he also knows Smoker very well. This guy has always had his own way. Never take military discipline to heart. There is nothing marine-like about her clothes, words or deeds. Instead, he looks like a rogue. No wonder something suddenly felt wrong this time. The picture always feels a bit unnatural. It turns out that Smoker is completely different from before. The style of painting has changed. The whole person looks. What a model marine. If you didn't know Smoker, you might think he was from the Marine Honor Guard. This is. What the hell? Aokiji suddenly felt. The world is so crazy. Even Smoker has changed. Could it be that, is this Inspector General really working? The most bohemian fleet among the Marines was transformed so quickly. Isn't this too exaggerated? It's only been a day since first came to Marine. I haven't even gone to the headquarters yet. How did he do that? Smoker's character, this is not someone who can force change through force. This guy, very Axis, and look at it like this. It seems that he was not forced to change. This is so strange. Aokiji is very curious, so decided, be sure to ask Smoker in private when you get the chance. Garp was also a little confused, but I didn't feel much. After all, he didn't know Smoker very well, but... Next. The man Smoker ordered the soldiers to bring up. But it shocked Garp directly, he never expected it. This one was covered in blood. Unconscious, advertisement. Even people who are dying. It's Ace, this. How could it be Ace? Why was he lifted up, if you say so? The person who was knocked away before, was Ace. Looking at Ace's appearance, Garp felt indescribably uncomfortable. No matter what, Ace is also his godson, although it certainly doesn't hold as much place in his heart as Luffy. But, he was raised by himself. Now, watching him being beaten like this. Naturally, there was anger in his heart. Who did this? Garp's voice was a little hoarse. Pointing at Ace, he asked. What's going on? Ron smiled, said, it seems that Vice Admiral Garp cares about the person in front of him. Garp suppressed the anger in his heart. Try not to lose control on the spot. He said in a deep voice, it's none of your business, I'm just asking what's going on. Ron came to Ace, checked the injury, I found that my life was safe. Then he said, oh, what's going on? I just met a pirate and caught him by the way. Speaking of which, Ron patted Garp on the shoulder. He asked meaningfully, what, do you think Marine has any problem catching pirates? As soon as this sentence came out, Garp was stunned for a moment. Yes, Marine was supposed to catch pirates, there's really no problem with this. Ron said this. On the contrary, there was something wrong with my attitude just now. Garp fell silent. Advertisement, I didn't say there was any problem with Marine catching pirates. Ron smiled, then he continued. Now that we're talking about it. So, I'm curious. Mr. Garp, if you met Ace on the sea, would you catch him like this? It's heartbreaking to kill people, Garp was asked. I didn't know how to answer for a moment, looking at Ace now seriously injured and unconscious. Thought. Will you catch it? In fact, it will. But, definitely not going all out, maybe it was just a symbolic arrest. In the end, the opponent will escape, but this can be considered as being able to catch it. HMPH, of course I will catch you. Garp snorted coldly and then said. Hearing this sentence, Ron nodded, he smiled meaningfully. Oh, is it so? I thought you would deliberately let him go because he is your godson. It seems I'm overthinking it. I hope Mr. Garp will try his best when he captures Luffy next. Don't give me any trouble. Hearing this, Garp was shocked. Only then did he react, this Inspector General is talking about himself. On the surface, it's about catching Ace. In fact, he is warning himself. If you can't catch Luffy, if you let Luffy escape on purpose. So, when he takes action, Luffy's fate will be little better than Ace's current miserable situation. Think of this. Garp couldn't help but look at Ron. This man made him feel a chill on his neck, this Inspector General. Seemingly amiable, but in every sentence, all have hidden edge. It's like a smile hiding a sharp knife. 035. Morning exercise. In comparison, the soldiers I lead are sissies. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement it's not right. How does this Inspector General know about Ace's relationship with me? This is hardly a secret though, but very few people know. Even Sengoku doesn't know now. How did this new Inspector General know? Garp suddenly reacted. I couldn't help but feel a little confused. Why does this Inspector General seem to be omniscient and omnipotent? Not only do I know what happened to Aokiji more than 20 years ago. And you also know the relationship between yourself and Ace? Although Ace was seriously injured, this made Garp very unhappy. But anyway, Ace is still alive after all, so. Garp also had no seizures. The main reason is. After all, this is Ace, not Luffy. After all, they have different weights for Garp. Ron ignored Garp. Instead he ordered, someone, give him some simple treatment. Subsequently, several ship's doctors came up, start to simply bandage Ace. Although Ron has healing powers, but, there is no need for pirates to use it. Smoker immediately asked, what to do with this person? Are we going to keep him with us? Ron shook his head. Then he said, take him back to Marine headquarters. Give him to Sengoku first. Wait until I get back to deal with it. Of course Ron couldn't take Ace with him, so, let Smoker send him away first. Advertisement Smoker hesitated for a moment, then said, how about I let someone else deliver it? I also want to escort the Inspector General back to Marine headquarters. Ron interrupted. No, you send him back personally. I don't feel at ease if someone else gives it to me. At least you're here and there won't be any accidents on the way. We are now in the first half of the Grand Line. Normally, you won't encounter any trouble. Some common pirates I encountered, Smoker is more than capable of dealing with them. And it's not that far away from Marine headquarters. There can't be any pirates making trouble in this area. So it is relatively safe. This is also the main reason why Ron gave Ace to Smoker so confidently. Only, hear these words again in Smoker's ears. But it was extremely touching. After all, the Inspector General said, I don't worry if others give me away. Doesn't this mean, the Inspector General believes in himself? When I think of this, although Smoker's face was expressionless. But I was extremely happy. Yes, Smoker took the order. Then I chose the song, Warship, again, take Ace with you. Go to Marine headquarters, now, Ron then ordered. The entire fleet turned around. Depart from the capital of Seven Waters. This place is still far away from the capital of Seven Waters. It probably takes a day to walk. Then, the two fleets merged into one. Let's go together. Early the next morning, Ron got up and started training as usual. A barbell weighing 5,000 pounds, advertisement this time because there is one on the Garp ship. So Ron also lent it. Now there are two 5,000-pound barbells in total. That is to say, Ron can finally train normally. The previous weight of 5,000 pounds was too light, and the training effect was too insignificant. Then, inside the training room on top of the warship, Ron was holding a barbell with one foot, get into an inverted position. Do push-ups with your hands on the ground, 998, 999, 1000. Phew, One Punch Man's physique plus 0.005%. One Punch Man's physique plus 0.005%. One Punch Man's physique plus 0.005%. Sure enough, the effect is more obvious than yesterday. But 10,000 kilograms is still not enough. We will arrive at the capital of Seven Waters in a while. It seems that we need to customize an additional batch of training equipment. Ron flexed his wrist, then move on to the next exercise. Holding a 5,000-pound barbell in one hand, start doing squats. And at the same time, the Marines on Ron's ship began to imitate him. I also started training simultaneously with Ron. The training room on top of the Marine warship is made of transparent glass. So they can see it from below. Ever since I saw Ron's strength with my own eyes the day before yesterday, and saw Ron's training methods. These Marine soldiers began to train with Ron, although they cannot bear weight. But everyone starts from the basics. If you can't make 1,000, make 100 first. Either way on deck, or in the lounge, all of them are Marine soldiers exercising. This has become a special sight on the Ron warship every morning. And now, on Garp's warship, soldiers are also being trained. After all, advertisement Garp is also currently training Marine recruits. That is to say, he often selects a group of outstanding Marine soldiers and trains them himself. For example, Coby and Bellameb on the ship now are two of them. This morning, Garp took these soldiers for training as always. However, at this time, I heard a muffled sound coming from the warship next door. I couldn't help but be a little curious, then bring the ship closer. Take a look, it's better not to watch, look at this. I immediately surprised myself. Damn it, this is so inspiring. All Marines are exercising. This, and he practices even more seriously than he does here. Uniform movements and a persevering expression, compared with this one. The recruits I brought with me, What a sissy, when did these Marines become so motivated? Did you read that correctly? Wait a moment. Is that Ron up there on the training table? Yesterday, he asked me to borrow a 5,000-pound barbell. It turned out to be for training. It seems that I underestimated him. This guy can actually lift a 5,000-pound barbell for training. In strength, I recognized him. My usual training intensity is nothing more than this. Etc. Wrong, not one. What? How can it be? He actually lifted 2 barbells at the same time for training. This is a full 10,000 kilograms. Training with a weight of 10,000 pounds is still so easy? How could this guy be so powerful? %036. Power increases again. Rescue people at sea. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement, they're so awesome. It would be great if we had this training atmosphere too. At this time, these Marines on the Garp ship, he couldn't help but cast an envious look. Do anything, atmosphere is very important, if everyone around you is doing one thing. So, you can bring yourself together. Now, usually only people on his own warship watch Ron's training. And this time, Garp took these people on the warship. They all stopped to watch. After all, this scene is so impactful. Who can resist such a passionate moment? Finally. About 3 hours passed. Ron's training is complete. The Marine soldiers who were training with Ron also lay on the ground tiredly. Although their training intensity is far less intense than Ron's. But, still too tired to stand up. Don't look at this training method as simple. But the effect is significant. These Marines only trained for less than 3 days. You can clearly feel that your body has become a little stronger. Tashigi came over to wipe the sweat off Ron's body. Tashigi has gotten used to it these past 2 days. When I saw Ron Chiguo doing upper body exercises before. Just blush, don't dare to look directly, but now I'm wiping Ron's sweat. So close. My heart was still beating hard. Ron took the clothes and put them on. Subsequently, according to custom, checked the physical attributes. Name. Ron, physique. One Punch Man physique, 31.2%. Ability. Advanced Medical Ninjutsu, Top Conqueror's Hockey. Advertisement. Item. Silver Treasure Chest. 1. Influence. 2758. The number of Marines changed by Ron, a qualified soldier plus a little influence. Ron nodded with satisfaction. Compared to the day before yesterday, he has become much stronger again, and also awakens Conqueror's Hockey. And, the influence is also about 100 more. This indicates that. Today I have influenced another 100 Marine soldiers. That is to say, this time, among the Marines brought by Garp. Over 100 people have been affected by him, just as Garp and others watched in rapt attention. And while meditating, Coby suddenly ran over and said, "Vice Admiral Garp, something seems to be floating over there. It seems like a few people." Coby pointed to a place not far away. Only then did Garp recover from the previous state. Although he doesn't understand it yet, why does Ron have so much power? But at this moment, his thoughts were interrupted by Coby. He didn't think about it anymore. Instead, he looked in the direction that Coby pointed. Sure enough, there is someone. Who is it? On the vast sea. You can meet people floating on the sea. It's really strange. And at the same time, Ron also discovered it. Stussy put down the telescope. Said to Ron, "Sir Ron, this is CP9. Stussy is a CP0 guy after all." So, he recognized the few people floating on the sea before Garp and the others. Now, several people wearing black clothes, lying on an old wooden board. Floating in the sea, and they looked very weak. He must have been seriously injured. Advertisement. Ron was a little surprised. He didn't expect that. I actually met CP9 here. These guys, he disappeared after the Enies lobby incident the day before yesterday. And, because Spandam, the former chief of CP9, took the blame. Put all the responsibility for the Enies lobby incident on CP9. Framed by the villain Spandam. As a result, several of them are still on Marine's wanted list. This is also the reason why a few of them are still floating on the sea. It's because he's wanted by Marine. That's why I was hiding everywhere. At the same time, they are also raising money for medicine to treat Lu Chi. It can be said to be quite miserable. Ron had watched One Piece, and of course he knew that Bluno had taken away several people with the gate fruit. If not for Bluno, it was under bombing by Buster Call. These CP9s must have perished together with Enies lobby. Did not expect, he actually met him. Look at it like this. They must have been floating on the sea for several days. Everyone was seriously injured, and he must be hungry now. These guys, he is also a person who works hard for the world government. And, in terms of work attitude, their performance is much better than some people fishing in Marine. At least, They fought desperately to the last moment. And these guys can never leave in the most critical moments. At this point, Ron still appreciated it very much. Since it was such a coincidence that I met them here. Then take them to capture Luffy. Former rivals meet again. It must be very interesting too. Thinking of this, Ron ordered to Stussy, go and rescue them all. Yes. Stussy took the lead. Advertisement jumped directly from the warship. A few moonwalks back and forth in the air, heading towards CP9's broken raft. And at this moment CP9 first saw a marine warship in front of me. Instinctively want to escape. After all, Marine has been looking for them for the past 2 days. And their current state is inconvenient for fighting. So, always on the run. Really embarrassed, Stussy actually wanted to run away when he saw them. I couldn't help but sigh. Then he said, wait a minute, I'm CP0 Stussy. I'm here to pick you up on the order of the Inspector General. Bluno and Khalifa were relatively lightly injured. Now, I can still barely fight, so, the moment Stussy showed up. The two of them stood up first, blocking everyone behind them. And at this moment, after hearing the visitor announcing his door, only then did he observe carefully, it is indeed CP0. I've met him before, but this did not make them relax their guard. After all, it's not just Marine who wants them. There are also spies from the world government who have been hunting them down. All this was blamed on Spandam and his son, so they're extra careful. They were afraid that the people coming over would arrest them. But, when they heard the words Inspector General, only then did he lower his guard, the day before the Enies lobby incident. They did receive a tip from world government about the Inspector General. Anyway, I don't have the strength to run away now. Then take a gamble. Bet this Inspector General will believe them. Then, CP9 followed Stussy aboard Ron's main ship. The storyline after CP9 Enies lobby is explained on the title page of the comic. 037. Is Coby a qualified Marine? Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. It's actually CP9. These guys are wanted by Marine. That's how we met. Maybe it's their misfortune. Coby said suddenly. Now, he was actually a little excited. When all CP9 members were rescued, the people on the Garp ship finally recognized the group. Have to say, there are still wanted warrants for these people on their ship. I just didn't expect it. What a coincidence. Met on the sea. Of course, Garp and others don't know the truth about CP9 being wanted. But, now that we have encountered it, then the tasks on the wanted order must be carried out. Capture some of them back. This is why Coby saw this scene. The reason for so much excitement. After all, this is his first time going to sea since joining Marine. He has never performed a mission before. If we can catch the person wanted on the warrant this time, that is naturally very good. After all, his goal is to become a Marine Admiral. Then you need to make contributions. Bringing the wanted CP9 back to Marine headquarters for trial is a great achievement. So, seeing the wanted CP9, he was the most excited. Then, with Garp's nod of approval, Coby jumped out first. Came to Ron's boat. Confirmed at close range. It turned out that they were indeed the CP9s on the wanted poster. Did not expect such good luck. At this time, he couldn't help but excitedly reminded. Inspector General, several of them are wanted. Please leave it to us. We will take them to Marine headquarters for trial. Advertisement. After all, he thought the Inspector General was new to the job. Definitely didn't know about this. That's why they rashly rescued them instead of arresting them directly. And it is necessary for me to remind them, it is your job to arrest these wanted persons, rather than the job of the Inspector General, so take them back from your own side. Makes sense. Coby thought he was right in saying so. Now, CP9 couldn't help but feel shocked when he heard this. In their current state, I'm really afraid of being captured by Marine. If this Inspector General is like other Marines, they are believed to be responsible for the defeat of Enies lobby. If you arrest them as wanted persons, that would be bad. After all, this Inspector General is their only hope to rehabilitate Zhao Shui. If the Inspector General nods at this moment, hand them over to the Marines in front of you. That's it. Kaku coughed twice. The body was obviously very weak. But he still insisted on speaking. Inspector General, although we have not met, there is a misunderstanding here. Listen to us first. Ron shook his head, then interrupted him. Your injuries are serious, so please stop talking. Subsequently, Ron looked at the kid who suddenly appeared. Finally recognized him. Isn't this guy Coby? That 18-year-old male Marine. This guy can be said to be one of the people who has changed the most in the entire pirate world. So, you mean to take them away? In what capacity? Ron said calmly to Coby. Coby said with firm eyes. As a wanted criminal. A few of them are already wanted persons by the world government. Any Marine who sees them is obligated to arrest them. Advertisement, and I am a qualified Marine. I'm just performing my duties. Coby spoke with righteousness when he said this. However, Ron couldn't help but laugh. I really didn't expect this guy to say this. It's really interesting. Have you remembered the responsibilities of a Marine soldier at this time? If you hadn't seen Coby's performance in Summit War with your own eyes. Ron was easily fooled by his impassioned words, one before the Summit War started. A Marine soldier who actually planned to escape and become a deserter. Now, stand in front of yourself, said he was a qualified Marine soldier. He actually talked about the duties of a Marine soldier in a righteous manner. What duty does a deserter talk about, if Akainu hadn't executed an escaped captain? It would be impossible for Coby to return to the battlefield. Not only that, even after he returned to the battlefield. See the cruelty of the battlefield and the fierce fighting between the two sides. I don't even dare to join in, watching his fellow Marine soldiers fall one by one. He and Bellameber, but hiding behind the wall, he didn't even have the courage to fight the pirates. After all, he was protected too well by Garp, like flowers in a greenhouse. In the early stage, I never experienced the cruelty of war. Thinking you can become an admiral without killing. People who don't even dare to go to the battlefield. A man who starts a fight but hides behind it. A man who watched his comrades advance one after another. What qualifications do you have to call yourself a qualified Marine? Not only that, when Coby finally mustered up the courage. But he did something that made Ron look the most outrageous. At the critical moment of the entire war, he actually went up and stopped his general. Akainu lost his only chance to kill Luffy. This directly reduced the results of the entire Summit War in half. Tens of thousands of Marines fought for their lives. Risk everything. Fall down and get up again. Advertisement. Fight bloody battles with pirates. Even if they are facing the Whitebeard pirates, the strongest pirates in the world. No one stepped back, working so hard for what? They are really here to fulfill their duties as Marines. They are a true Marine, however, they gave it their all. But it didn't get the maximum benefit from this battle. It was because of those few seconds when Coby stopped him. These crucial few seconds, have Akainu failed to kill Luffy. Not only that, Coby screamed, Marines' military morale was completely shaken. This is the most irritating thing. Everyone has their own position. Since you chose Marine, just follow Marine's position. At this critical moment, say something like this regardless of your position. Treat the boring fantasies and kindness in your heart as justice. Do you think this battle involving hundreds of thousands of people is just playing house? Such a large-scale battle, once started, if strategic objectives are not achieved. The one who died for it, wasn't his death in vain. If you tell me to stop, let the greatest strategic purpose that this battle should have achieved be in vain. You have gained a good reputation for kindness, those thousands of Marines who died. What is their meaning, since I chose to be a Marine? You have to be ready to fight, you have to be prepared to sacrifice for it. How is it possible to try to achieve strategic goals through the undead? People who have such naive illusions, he doesn't deserve to be a Marine at all. So, no matter how well Coby performs in the future. But in Ron's opinion, at least the mistakes he made in Summit War. It's extremely serious. There is no way to escape the judgment of him as the Inspector General. 038. I have bailed out the person from CP9 and revoked the wanted order. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement after all. This hasn't happened yet. Ron couldn't rule on something that didn't happen. So, Ron would keep an eye on this guy, if there is a Summit War a month later. If this guy still refuses to change his ways, so, Ron will definitely be dealt with by military law when the time comes. Serve as a warning to others, there is no doubt about this. Now, faced with Coby coming to ask for someone, Ron didn't pay any attention to it, he shook his head and said, Garp. Tell your little brat to go back. CP9's people are guaranteed to be safe. No one can take them away. What Ron said was extremely haughty. Kaku, Bluno, Khalifa et al. It's all unbelievable. Look at Ron. Khalifa said excitedly, Inspector General, do you really believe us? She has experienced so much betrayal and distrust along the way. Extremely wronged. The world government she has been working for. Don't trust them either. Obviously they all fought desperately to protect Eni's lobby. But, the world government still listens to the villain's slander. Believed Spandam's lies. They actually blamed CP9 for all the failures. And launched a wanted search for them. This move chilled them to the core. Marine who has been fighting alongside each other. They also pursued and intercepted them, along the way. Former comrades. All became enemies. No one believed what they said. Advertisement. Everyone was thinking about how to capture them and take the credit back. No one listened to them at all, and the man in front of me. I actually believe them now, although they have never met. In this situation where the whole world doesn't believe them, still choose to believe them, this feeling, several CP9 present were deeply moved. The warmth this Inspector General brought to them cannot be described in words. Well, I believe you. The failure of the Enies lobby incident has nothing to do with you. You've done your best. Ron smiled and said, of course he believed it. Because he has read comics. Ron has a god's perspective. No one knows the ins and outs of things better than him. So of course he believed it. Needless to say, if you still don't believe it after reading the comics again, I would also think that they are the main culprit for Enies lobby's failure. It would be better to just hit him to death. There is no need to live with that kind of intelligence. But CP9 didn't know that Ron had a god's perspective. They all think. Choose to believe them at this time. That must have been a big risk. This is simply fighting against the whole world. At this time, choose to stand up and believe them. It's really a great kindness, so CP9 was very moved. And at this moment, Garp stood up and said, they're wanted by Marine after all. It's okay if you don't believe them anymore. After all, the wanted order has not been withdrawn yet. See you in this situation. If our Marines encounter them, we have an obligation to catch them. As for whether they were wronged, that's not what we have to say. Our mission is just to catch them, and leave the rest to specialized agencies. If you just keep them around, this is also unjustifiable. Ron's face was expressionless. Through this matter, advertisement he found, there is also corruption within the world government. Such a large administrative agency, he was actually fooled around by Spandam and his son. For what these two shameless guys said, it was not verified. Just blindly believe it. They even pointed the finger at their own people for this. After all, CP9 fought tooth and nail in the Enies lobby battle. And the world government does this. It is extremely inappropriate. After this, who will dare to work for the world government? It seems that when rectifying Marine, don't forget to rectify world government as well. If not, this kind of thing will happen more and more in the future. As for the wanted order Garp mentioned just now, this is easy to solve. Ron called Stussy directly. Stussy, come here. Now you contact Sengoku and ask him to immediately cancel the wanted order for CP9. Just say what I said. They are innocent. Stussy can nod. He responded. Yes, subsequently, called Sengoku's number. Garp was stunned. Confused. Why does Ron want to protect CP9 so much? How can he be sure that the other party is innocent? Less than 5 minutes. Sengoku has withdrawn the wanted notice for CP9. And it was communicated to all Marine soldiers through Marine's special phone bug. Garp's warship also received a notification just now. There is no wanted warrant now. Do you still want to arrest me? Ron said calmly. This is obviously in response to what Garp just said. Garp laughed and said, in this case, there is no need for me to arrest them anymore. Now, these CP9s were all shocked. They never expected. This Inspector General actually has so much power. Advertisement, just one sentence, let their wanted order be revoked. Now I finally don't have to hide anymore. However, their surprises weren't over yet. Subsequently, Ron waved. Stussy took the initiative to hand over the phone bug to Ron. Ron directly called 5 elders. The call was connected instantly. Ron was no nonsense. He asked straight to the point. Where are the Spandams? As soon as this statement came out, the 5 elders looked confused. Sir Ron, what are you doing with these two? They really don't know. Why would Ron bring up these two people? Do not talk nonsense. I ask where you two, father and son, are. Naturally, the 5 elders did not dare to neglect. He responded quickly. He is recuperating at Marijoy's Central Hospital. Spandam was seriously injured in Enies lobby. I have been recovering in the Central Hospital for the past 2 days. Ron said with a frown. Go get them both. Both of them are relieved of all duties. Sent directly to the underwater prison. As soon as this statement came out, the 5 elders are even more confused. What happened? What happened to these two guys? Why was such a severe punishment suddenly imposed on the two of them? And it was Ron himself who gave the order. Could it be that these two guys offended Ron at some point? How could it be possible? But this was Ron's order after all. The 5 elders also had to obey, compared to Ron's identity. The father and son are indeed nothing, so they asked. But on what charge? Ron thought for a while and then said. Framing, improper command, and indiscriminate use of buster call resulted in the destruction of Enies lobby. I will be punished for several crimes. 039. Did you offend the 5 elders? No, it's someone from above. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Marijoy's Central Hospital. Now, Spandam is recovering from his injuries inside. Live in the most luxurious ward. The rooms in the wards are larger than ordinary people's homes. There is dedicated service 24 hours a day. Someone is peeling the fruit. Someone will feed you when you eat. There are also dedicated massages every day. It's not an exaggeration to say it's a vacation. It's a pleasant experience to live there. He didn't take what he did to heart at all. Instead, he was still complacent with his father. Dad's idea is better. Put all the blame on CP9. This way, everything about Enies lobby has nothing to do with me. Now the people in the world government all think that it was CP9's incompetence that ruined Enies lobby. They are wanted now, and, the best part is, I got praise and awards. Ha ha ha. These people must be living a miserable life now. Just think of it as the last thing they do for me, the commander. It's their honor to take the blame for me, the commander. Spandam enjoyed the fruit that the nurse fed to his mouth, while laughing at the person standing beside the bed. This person is Spangdine, Spandam's father, former commander of CP9. At this time, Spangdine couldn't help but sneered. Certainly. The method of passing the blame to your subordinates is a tried and true method. Your father and I have always done this when I was in office, and I have never been found out once. If they take the blame, I'll enjoy the blessing. You kid, you still have a lot to learn from me in the future. Spandam looked proud. Be proud of your own plan. That's right, father is always someone worth learning from. Advertisement, teach me all these tips from now on. Let me experience what it's like to deceive the world government. The corners of Spandam's mouth are tilted upward, with a malicious look on his face. Subsequently, the father and son looked at each other, start laughing loudly. This is the mutual appreciation between the wolf and the wolf. And just when the two of them were proud, suddenly, the door to the ward was pushed open forcefully. Several men in black. He rushed in directly. The little nurses were so frightened that they screamed. Don't panic. This is one of our own, Spangdine said to several nurses. He thought it was his former colleague who came to visit him. Isn't this too unruly? Don't even know how to knock on the door. I couldn't help but feel angry. You said you didn't even know how to knock when you came in. Don't you know that my son is recovering here? Spangdine's tone was a bit unspeakable. Who are you and your own people? Someone, take them all away. One of the leaders, CP0, said. As soon as this statement came out, both Spandam and Spandam felt a little confused. The two said together, Are you confused? Did you arrest the wrong person? Don't you recognize me? The leader, CP0, snorted coldly. Of course we know each other. If we don't know each other, what are we doing here? It's you two who we're going to arrest. The words just fell. Several men in black rushed over directly. He pressed Spangdine directly against the wall. Advertisement. And, Spandam was pulled off the bed. It fell to the ground with a thud. No mercy at all. The cold handcuffs were fastened directly to the two of them. Are you crazy? I'm a big fan of Enies lobby. What are you doing? Spandam panicked, but he still said in a stern tone. It's an order from above. Don't ask so many questions. This is not your question. You know what you have done. Tell the judge if you have anything to say. Take away. The leader CP0 waved his hand and said in a cold tone. Spandam panicked. While struggling he said. I want to see the 5 elders. There must be some misunderstanding. Let me go. The leader CP0 snorted coldly, said. It's useless for you to see them. The decision to arrest you was personally ordered by them. This time, Spandam and Spandam were in complete despair. Suddenly my mood hit rock bottom. If the 5 elders personally ordered it, then they can only accept their fate, but they still don't understand. Why on earth did things turn out like this? Weren't you fine just now? The world government only awarded him the Combat Heroes Medal this morning. Why did your face change in the afternoon? Advertisement. What's the matter? Spandam asked unwillingly. Are the 5 elders going to deal with me? CP0 held out a finger, pointing to the sky, then he said in a very awe-inspiring tone. It's someone from above. What? Spandam was even more confused. Someone on 5 elders? Who is this? I have never heard of it, but there are people on 5 elders. When did you mess with someone higher up? To the people above, I am just an ant. Even if you want to, you have no chance to offend the people above. Now, the two of them were already disheartened. The domineering attitude he had just now was gone at all. Suddenly he wilted. After the men in black took Spandam and Spandam away. The nurses and sisters in the ward, I couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Just now they didn't even dare to breathe. Terrible. Several young nurses couldn't help but look at each other. Then he said, these two guys were finally captured. It's disgusting to see them act like villains every day. I don't know which boss the father and son have offended. This is called heaven and earth. The two of them usually bully others, but now they are bullied by others. They deserve it. Seeing how happy these little nurses are, you can see how annoying the father and son are usually. Subsequently, under Ron's instructions, Spandam and Spandam held a sign-up parade in front of the World Government Office building for half a day. The purpose is to warn other staff. Let them take lesson. 040. From now on, let the Inspector General do whatever you want. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement with Ron's permission. Spandam's trial process is extremely fast, in front of the World Government Office building. After half a day of parade, the trial process immediately entered. The whole journey takes less than an hour. Spandam confessed to all crimes. It can be said that there are many crimes. It's not just the Enies lobby thing that's being uncovered. Many of the previous ones have also been uncovered. Because the circumstances were so serious, he was punished for several crimes. Spandam and his son were sentenced to death. Now, the truth of the Enies lobby incident has been restored. To be honest, this truth made the five elders feel a little embarrassed. They didn't expect it either. The truth of the matter is this. It seems they misunderstood CP9. But, why Ron thousands of miles away? To be able to know the truth, if Ron hadn't informed them to arrest someone this time. I'm afraid they will never know the truth about the Enies lobby incident. He will also use these two villains who work together to collude. It seems this Inspector General. Sure enough, there are some methods. After the outcome of the Spandam and Spangdine trials, the half-day march by the two of them on world government also achieved results. Many world government officials are a little uneasy at this moment. Especially those who have ghosts in their hearts. Those world government bugs. Everyone is in danger. They were afraid that they would be the next to be paraded. This moment, it also allowed them to finally get to know the Inspector General. They never paid attention to it before, just thought. The Inspector General is only responsible for supervising Marine. They have no control over their world government personnel. But at this moment, tell them with real-life examples. This Inspector General can not only control, and he manages it very accurately. What's even scarier is, all the procedures of the world government gave him the green light all the way. This kind of trial is normal. Advertisement, let's say at least 10 days and a half month. It could take as long as 3 to 5 months, after all. There are always too many involved in the trials of people within the world government. Who doesn't have some connections behind the scenes? So, most trials can be delayed again and again. Many people rely on Guangxi to manage things up and down. This also leads to, regarding the trials of people within the world government, major issues are generally reduced to trivial matters. Especially for those with money, power and background. Basically, it's released after going through a process. And this time, a person tried by order of the Inspector General himself. There was no delay in the entire trial process, green light all the way. Let the results of this trial come down in just 1 hour. This is the scariest thing. This insidates that. Once this Inspector General gets involved, then it is impossible to rely on relationships to find someone to take care of things as before. The trial of Spandam, blame it completely on all world government staff. There is a sword of Damocles hanging. It was already evening. The verdict of the Spandam's trial has come down. All government and marine staff were notified. This incident was also published in the newspaper by Morgans. As tomorrow's front page headline, we are working overtime to print. Garp and Aokiji never expected that, this guy Ron. He works so resolutely, just in front of them. Just said a few words. Just rehabilitate CP9 directly. And it also gave the culprit of this incident the retribution he deserved. This is really terrible. How did he know all this? If you haven't seen it with your own eyes, Garp and Aokiji simply couldn't believe it. Because of Ron's every move, it's all within their sight. So they are very aware, this guy really only said a few words. Nothing else was done. Terrible. Advertisement the sea in the evening. Very peaceful. But, now, CP9's mood is indeed extremely unstable. They also received reports on the disposal of Spandam. We also received notification from the world government that they would be reinstated. Now not only does it rehabilitate people, the grievances were washed away, be free again. And the position of CP9 was restored, have to say. All this is thanks to the man in front of me, now. Bluno, Kaku, Khalifa and others are all extremely grateful to Ron. This made them sigh. It would be great if Lu Chi could see this scene. It's a pity that this guy's injury is too serious. He still hasn't woken up after being beaten by Luffy. And at the same time, they are also rejoicing. It's really great to meet the Inspector General at this time. It seems they made the right bet. The Inspector General not only believed them, and they finished their affairs so quickly, this far exceeded their previous expectations. Originally, CP9 and others wanted to gain the trust of the Inspector General first. Then look for opportunities to prove your innocence bit by bit. This process takes at least 3 to 5 months. But what they never expected was, how can I use it for 3 to 5 months? Just 3 or 5 sentences from the Inspector General. Stussy looked at the looming island in the distance. Come over immediately to report. Inspector General, ahead is the capital of 7 waters. We'll be ashore in 10 minutes. These guys are seriously injured. Should we send them back to the headquarters for treatment? Based on their current situation, if they go to the capital of 7 waters with us, they might not get good treatment. Stussy pointed at these CP9s and said, "Oh, are we almost at the capital of 7 waters?" Ron stretched. After giving the instructions to the 5 elders just now. He has been busy training. Advertisement, so I ignored the serious injury of CP9. At this time, he waved his hand, said, "Bring all CP9 here." Yes. Stussy nodded. After a while, the seriously injured CP9 was carried over on a stretcher. Ron is also no nonsense. The light green light on his hand appeared again. It is an advanced healing technique. Subsequently, light green light covered these CP9s, immediately afterwards. The wounds on their bodies were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Extremely exaggerated. In just a few seconds, except for Lucci, all other CP9s have recovered. They looked at their bodies in disbelief. He looked like he had seen a ghost. I thought I was dreaming. Unbelievable, the Inspector General actually cured their serious injuries. And Lucci, who was the most seriously injured, at the 30th second of treatment, finally woke up. All the injuries on his body have healed. Now, Lucci was looking around in confusion. Who I am? Where am I? Why did they kneel down? Have no idea what's going on. Looking at several other CP9 brothers, suddenly he knelt down on one knee. Kneeling in front of Ron, his face was very serious. The attitude is very firm, they said in unison. CP9 Khalifa. CP9 Bluno. CP9 Kaku. CP9 Jabra. CP9 Lion Snugglesong. CP9 Otonashi Fukuru. From now on, let the Inspector General do whatever you want. 041. How to find Luffy on such a big island, previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Khalifa and others spent some time. He told Lucci everything that had just happened. After all, he had just woken up, not aware of anything that happened before. After listening to this passage, Lucci has always been aloof. At this moment, I finally understand why everyone expressed their loyalty to Ron. Lucci thought for a moment, he also expressed his stance immediately. And this scene. Look in the eyes of Garp and Aokiji. Naturally, he was extremely shocked, they never thought of it. The Inspector General is so good at winning people's hearts. It took less than half a day. All members of CP9 have been tamed. Let them be their own people. This ability is really terrifying. Wrong. At this time, Garp suddenly discovered something. That's how Ron healed them quickly. What method is this? This healing ability. Why is it so similar to Marco, the captain of Whitebeard's 2nd Division? Marco is a light blue flame. Covering people, can heal people's injuries quickly. Ron just used light green light. The effect is actually much better than Marco's. Even if Marco the Phoenix comes in person, it is impossible to heal the opponent's injuries so quickly. How serious were the injuries suffered by those CP9s just now? Garp sees it. Advertisement, especially the guy named Lucci. Basically on the verge of death. Even so, that guy Ron. Since it takes less than 30 seconds, just let the other party recover directly. Isn't this kind of healing ability terrible? Such a comparison. Marco's fruit power is nothing, this pale green light. It is much stronger than the light blue flame. Garp couldn't help but stepped forward and asked curiously. What is your ability? Ron smiled, then he said casually. It's just some simple treatments, nothing to fuss about. Garp was speechless. Is this too Versailles for you? Are these some simple treatments? This is already a medical miracle, okay? The healing fruits are not as good as yours, if you call this a simple treatment method. Then should other doctors be allowed to live, now that you have this treatment? Why didn't you use it on Ace before? His injuries are also serious. Garp suddenly remembered. Ace was sent away yesterday. His injuries were no worse than Lucci's, and that time. Ron simply called a few doctors over and performed a superficial bandage. Garp didn't think it was anything at the time, but now. Advertisement after seeing Ron's method, This guy can obviously cure Ace easily. And it won't take long. Why wasn't this done then? So, Garp frowned and asked unhappily. Ron just said calmly. Why should I treat pirates? This. Garp was speechless for a moment. What the other party said makes sense. There is no obligation to treat pirates. Think of this. The fire that Garp had just raised also subsided. No place to vent. Turn around, returned angrily. Seeing that the capital of Seven Waters is close at hand. But it was getting dark. Everyone is deciding whether to land on the island tonight or tomorrow morning. After all, they're here to catch Luffy. It would be inconvenient to move around at night. It's not as easy to find people as during the day. At this time, Garp said, it's very difficult to find someone in such a big city of 7 rivers. So, we don't have to alert others at night. Let's wait until tomorrow morning. Ron didn't object. He looked at Aokiji and said, what do you think? Aokiji also nodded. Advertisement. Then he glanced at Garp's eyes and said. Then he said, it is indeed a bit difficult. If you want to find someone on such a big island, it's more convenient to move around during the day. After all, we don't know where Luffy and the others are. These two guys sang and harmonized. What are you planning? Of course Ron knew, but there is some truth in what they say. It's getting dark now, so it's really not easy to find someone. And at this time, Ron suddenly received a system notification. It's a familiar voice again, only you can hear it. Host punished Spandam and his son and eliminated a cancer in the world government. Improves the justice of world government. A bronze treasure chest will be rewarded. Oh, I never thought I could get rewards like this. This was still a bit surprising to Ron, it seems. Anything that can make world government and marine more righteous. All will receive rewards. This is the effect of the surveillance system. Ron got a high-level healing spell from a bronze treasure chest. It can be said to be extremely lucky, because healing techniques are very practical. In just 2 days, it has come in handy several times. Didn't expect it this time. Got another bronze treasure chest. What can be offered this time? Ron is still quite curious. Whether to open the bronze treasure chest, whether. 042. The bronze treasure chest once again contains good things. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Do you want to open the bronze treasure chest? Whether. Faced with the choices given by the system. Of course Ron chose yes without hesitation. Yes. There is no need to hesitate about this kind of thing. Anyway, bronze treasure chests cannot be synthesized. Even if it is not opened, there is no other use. The silver treasure chest is different. 3 silver treasure chests can be combined into 1 gold treasure chest. Gold chests have a greater chance of yielding good things. Certainly, this is all for later. Now, when Ron chooses to turn it on. The bronze treasure chest glowed slightly. This opening light is closely related to the things inside. The last bronze treasure chest, when turned on, a light green light appears. As a result, high-level healing techniques were obtained. And this time, what Ron saw was a very primitive light. Just like the sun shining on bronze, the color emitted. Full of age. Somewhat mysterious. This, Ron couldn't help but wonder. How do you feel that it is a very contemporary thing? What is it? Can't guess. Ron shook his head. As the bronze treasure chest slowly opened, the radiance gradually disappeared. And at this moment, Ron finally saw clearly what was inside. It turned out to be a compass. Ron never thought of it. It can actually create a compass. Subsequently, the compass appeared out of thin air in Ron's hand. To be honest, Ron was a little confused at this moment. Why does this thing look like a feng shui compass? What's the use? Do you want me to rob tombs? Advertisement. The last time I got a healing spell. Ron knew what this thing was for at a glance. You can start using it directly, but now, Ron looked at this in his hand. A compass that can only be used by tomb robbers. Fell into deep thought. What does this meow do? As a young man, it is really embarrassing to read the instruction manual when buying something. But, forgive me Ron, I really don't know what this thing is for. Then, I asked the system in my mind. Inquire about how to use it. Item. Feng Shui Compass. Ability. Find everything. How to use. Hold the compass in your hand, imagine what you are looking for in your mind, and the compass will guide the direction. Conditions of use. It must be something with a picture in your mind. I go. Good stuff. Ron couldn't help but say something. I just finished listening to the usage instructions given by the system. Ron thought. He found a treasure. This time the luck is still overwhelming. Such a good thing was actually given out. This may not be very useful in other worlds. But in the pirate world, that's really convenient. To know, this is a big voyage. What is most important in a great voyage? Direction, direction, or the direction, on the aimless sea. Whether it's a marine warship or a pirate ship, you can only rely on record pointers to point the way. If not, you will definitely get lost. Just imagine. If you get lost in this boundless sea, what will be the outcome? That means, want to find the next island? Can only rely on luck. Advertisement: what if you are unlucky? Then you can never find the next island. For people in the pirate world, this is the most deadly. So, every ship must have a reliable navigator. If not, sailing is all about luck. Life and death depend on God. This is why these pirates arrived on an island. It is necessary to record it with a record pointer. This is to guide them to the next island. The recording pointer can record the magnetism between the islands of the Grand Line. Correctly lead the pirates to the next island. The magnetism of each island is different. Recording pointers need to be recorded locally for a period of time. It will point to the next island only after it is full of magnetism. If the record is not full, there was no way they could sail. Pirates travel between different islands, all relying on the record pointer to point the direction. The recording pointer will tell them the direction to the next island. If there is no record pointer, so, on the vast and boundless sea, I have no idea where the next island is. Some islands take too long to fill up with magnetism, such as Lil Garden. 1 year, if you don't want to wait. You need to use the permanent pointer to reach the island pointed by the permanent pointer, replace the magnetic force, and then move on to the next island. But the disadvantage of this kind of permanent recording of pointers is, it can only point to a fixed island, and Ron got this compass. Just completely untethered, there is no need to fill up the magnet at all. Just imagine an island in your mind, then, the compass will point in that direction. Just follow the direction pointed by the compass to get there. Ron has watched One Piece for most islands and items. There are pictures in my mind, that is to say, Ron can go wherever he wants in the sea, not like other pirates. After arriving at an island, to store enough magnetism on it to point to the next island. That's not all, according to the description. Advertisement: this feng shui property doesn't just look for islands, but to be able to find everything, any items. Just picture it in your mind. The feng shui compass will point in its direction. Also includes people. That is to say, if Ron wanted to find someone now, no effort required at all. Just picture that person in your mind. Then, follow the direction pointed by the compass needle. You will definitely find it, and Ron also found a particularly useful feature. That means there are numbers underneath the compass that you can scroll through. Like a combination lock, numbers 0 to 9 are depicted on each wheel. There are 3 roulette wheels in total. Now, Ron pictured Luffy in his mind. As expected, the compass needle began to change direction. Pointed to the southeast. Subsequently, the numbers on the roulette wheel begin to roll. It makes a clicking sound. The first wheel stopped at 0. Second roulette 5. The third roulette wheel is 0.050. That is to say, this represents the distance between Luffy and himself. It's 50 kilometers. Just move forward in the direction of the roulette wheel pointer. At the 50th kilometer, you will definitely find Luffy. Ron couldn't help but sigh. This thing is so convenient. No matter how you use it to find people in the future, or devil fruit, or looking for an island, it's all at your fingertips. Garp and Aokiji didn't mean it because the city of 7 waters was too big. Isn't it easy for Krishna to find Luffy? Still want to give Luffy and his gang some breathing space? What a beautiful thought. This time, let's see what other excuses the two of them have. 043. Ron, you're welcome. The compass can locate Luffy. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Although Garp now looks sad on the surface, as if because it's dark now, it is inconvenient to go to the island to catch Luffy. So it's a bit of a pity, but I breathed a sigh of relief. This can delay it for another night. So many warships parked here for 1 night. This news cannot be concealed, so my good grandson will definitely get this news in advance. Then they will prepare in advance, or leave the capital of 7 waters before dawn. In this case, I'll wait for someone to go ashore early tomorrow morning to arrest them. Luffy has long been in love, then he missed it. Isn't it perfect? When I think of this, Garp almost couldn't help laughing. But, because Ron is here, so you still have to endure your inner ecstasy. Anyway, he has expressed his stance now. There is no way to go to the island to arrest people after dark. And Aokiji also agreed cooperatively. This is not nonsense. The same is true for itself. It's hard enough to find someone on such a big island. Don't talk about arresting me. What's more, it's still dark. I can't even find it, even less likely to be caught. When Luffy runs away early tomorrow morning, I won't be able to blame him. My dear grandson, Grandpa can only help you so far. Because Ron is standing with Garp and Aokiji at the moment. So a very strange phenomenon occurred. That's when Ron's expression suddenly turned weird. Not just laughing, he also said some strange things. Immediately afterwards, an inexplicable object suddenly appeared in his hand. This startled Garp and Aokiji. The two of them really didn't understand. What exactly is going on? Why does Ron have such a strange expression? Didn't we just agree not to go to the island at night to arrest people? What's so funny about this? Advertisement could it be that Ron remembered something funny? Don't understand. But Garp and Aokiji didn't dwell too much on this matter. Because of their gaze, I was attracted by the strange thing in Ron's hand. Looks like a large record pointer. The reason why I think so. It's because there is also a pointer swinging around. Very strange. The normal record pointer is a ball. But this is a disc that Ron holds in his hand. And it's huge. It's as big as a palm. The pointer on the fingertips shook for a moment before pointing in one direction. Then it stopped moving. It seems that there are several numbers on it. I don't know what the meaning is. Garp has been traversing the sea for decades. Consider yourself well informed. But even so, this is also the first time I have seen this strange thing. Don't know what it is used for, it is clear, since he doesn't even know. Then Aokiji is even less likely to know. What's this? Garp couldn't help but ask. After all, he has always been a curious person. Ron smiled, then he said, compass, for guiding the way. Hearing Ron say this, Garp rubbed his chin and thought for a while. Give directions? It is nothing special, isn't it just a record pointer with a different length? I thought it was something good. It is clear. Garp was a little disappointed. It's a nautical pointer. Then I won't disturb the Inspector General's appreciation of the compass. Immediately, he once again acted like he couldn't catch Luffy and would never give up, and said in a deep voice. It's getting late, so I'm going to rest first and get well enough to get up tomorrow morning to capture Luffy. This time, we must not let this bastard get away. Damn it, if only it wasn't dark now, we won't be able to wait any longer to catch Mr. Luffy. After all, advertisement shake his head, choke. Sigh, just about to turn around and leave. Ron smiled. Called Garp, he said meaningfully. Don't leave in a hurry, Mr. Garp. I'm not done yet. This thing, we can still find someone. As soon as this statement came out, Garp instantly had a bad feeling. He said with a frown, how to find someone? Ron didn't reply directly. Instead, he put the compass in front of him, at the same time. Said softly, Aokiji. Aokiji was stunned, because he found out. When Ron finished saying his name, that so-called compass needle, it suddenly started to move, then he slowly pointed in his direction. At the same time, the numbers above also started to move. Oh, because the distance is too close, so 0 kilometers is directly displayed. Garp and Aokiji are certainly not stupid. Did you immediately understand what it meant? Now, Garp couldn't help but gasp, and at the same time. Ron looked at Garp, then he spoke softly, Garp. The words just fell. The compass needle moved again. 90 degrees to the left. The tip of the needle points exactly in the direction where Garp is now. Garp's expression changed. I can actually find someone. If that's really the case, wouldn't it be? Can Luffy be found too? Think of this. Garp felt a chill on his neck. Isn't this too pervert? Advertisement, there can't be any limit to such a powerful thing, right? If I move the direction, can it be found? Garp thought of this. Move away immediately. Dodge the pointer, then around the compass. Half a turn. It made him feel that something more terrible had happened. As he turns, the pointer actually followed, pointing in Garp's direction at all times. Follow Garp's turn. Never a minute faster, never a second slower. Finally stopped in the direction where Garp stopped. Only now did Garp realize the seriousness of the matter. This thing, once the target is locked, will continue to track. No matter where the target runs and how to change direction. It can be adjusted in time. Isn't this amazing? What is the principle? Not good. Garp's expression changed. Now, the Inspector General called himself to stop. Are you going to use it to find Luffy? Garp suddenly felt bad. If that's really the case, then wouldn't it be that my plan just now failed? As expected, Ron said next, I thought everyone had a hard day today. So I want everyone to have a good night's rest before going to capture Luffy tomorrow. But, I just saw Mr. Garp so anxious to catch Luffy. It looks like I can't wait for a moment. It really touched me. I understand Mr. Garp is eager to capture Luffy. I was wondering if I could help in any way I could. No, I just used the compass in my hand to help you locate Luffy's position. It would be better for Mr. Garp to catch Luffy as soon as possible and complete the mission. Garp. Garp's old face pulled down. Now. I wish I could give myself a slap in the face. Why were you so arrogant just now? 044. Untie the knot in Aokiji's heart and make a break with the past. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement. This guy did it on purpose. This is just to amuse me. Garp suddenly reacted. This guy Ron, he must have realized that he was going to let Luffy go on purpose. So I was making fun of myself just now. Garp's old face darkened. I can't hold on to face anymore. For a while, some can't get off stage. Now, the smile on Ron's face disappeared instantly. Then it became very serious. Then he said in a somewhat cold tone. Garp, you won't miss it, right? Try not to cause me any trouble. Although they are two seemingly ordinary sentences. But combined with what happened to Ace before, and what I said to Garp at that time. Now, these two common sentences, Garp instantly felt threatened. Of course I have no problem, you don't need to remind me about this. Garp snorted coldly. He understands. This is Ron talking to him. What it means is, if you can't catch Luffy, then it's possible that he will take action. By the time, it's very possible to break up. That's good. Ron nodded. Then he took out the compass, silently said, Luffy. Also picture Luffy in your mind. The compass soon pointed in Luffy's direction again. And marked the distance, still 50 kilometers. Advertisement, that is to say, this point in time. Luffy didn't move. There should be a banquet somewhere, or he might have gone to bed. When the direction is clear, Ron pointed at the compass. Said to Garp. In that case, it depends on your performance. Garp kept a straight face. No words were spoken. He also understood what Ron meant. At this time there is no reason to shirk. Subsequently, with Coby, Bellameb and other subordinates. Jump off the warship, towards the direction pointed by the pointer. Go in a hurry. Oh, right Aokiji. What happened 20 years ago will come to an end this time, right? See Garp leave here. Ron turned to look at Aokiji again. His fingers tapped the fence rhythmically, although the question is used. But it was a commanding tone. Aokiji was suddenly named. He was also stunned. Of course he understands. What happened 20 years ago that Ron was referring to? So he said, Nico Robin is no longer a threat to world government. Do we really want to kill them all? Ron frowned. He asked in a deep voice. So, are you sympathizing with the pirates? Don't forget her current identity. Hearing this sentence, Aokiji was slightly startled. Indeed. Advertisement. Regardless of whether I was right or wrong in letting Nico Robin go 20 years ago. None of this matters anymore, because at that time, he gave Nico Robin other options, but Nico Robin still chose to become a pirate. Since she is a pirate, then we shouldn't treat her now with the same pity we had for her 20 years ago. Ron continued. Being a Marine, 20 years ago, you saved just a child, so there is nothing wrong. But 20 years later, you are protecting a pirate. This is wrong. Nowadays, Nico Robin's identity, not the poor kid 20 years ago. But a real pirate, no matter how miserable her previous identity was. Nowadays, she is no different from an ordinary pirate. She followed Crocodile before, but he did a lot of bad things. What Crocodile has done is there for all to see. And she, it's Crocodile's accomplice. To say that she was not involved in the Alabasta incident at all. Is it possible? Does anyone believe it? Alabasta's calamity? It has nothing to do with Nico Robin, even leaving aside the fact that she knows ancient texts. There was no reason for Marine to let such a pirate go. Not to mention, she also knows ancient texts, so it was even more impossible for Ron to leave her outside. This woman, you have to be in control of yourself. After Ron said this, Aokiji seemed to have untied the knot in his heart. Suddenly I figured it out. He didn't save Robin just so that she could become a pirate. Advertisement now that Robin has chosen his own path. Then you should be responsible for your own choices. Think of this. Aokiji suddenly felt a lot more relaxed. Then he said, I see. This matter really needs to be settled. Aokiji finished speaking. He also jumped off the warship. Then he chased in the direction of Garp. For some people. Don't you teach him a painful lesson, he will not realize his mistake. Take Kizaru for example. For example, Garp, fish and add water. But for some people, all it takes is a little coaxing. This will make them realize their mistake. Take Aokiji for example. Robin's thing. It has always been a knot in Aokiji's mind. As long as you don't untie it, his justice will always be flawed. But, judging from Aokiji's performance just now, Ron was not disappointed. Ron was very sure that Aokiji really planned to end this matter. Because, after he persuaded Aokiji, the system's voice rang. Host untied Aokiji's heart, making Aokiji's justice more frank. Improved Marine's justice. Get a silver treasure chest. Ron couldn't help but smile. It seems to affect an admiral. The rewards you get are huge. Next, it's time to check out Garp's performance. 045. Give Garp a good beating. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement got another silver treasure chest. Ron checked his data. Name: Ron. Physique: One Punch Man physique, 32.1%. Ability: Advanced Medical Ninjutsu, Top Conqueror's Hockey. Props: Feng Shui Compass. Item: Silver treasure chest, 2 pieces. Influence: 2898. The number of Marines changed by Ron, a qualified soldier plus a little influence. Resolve the incident. Restore the reputation of the Marine in the Alabasta incident. Intimidate the Shichibukai. Rectify the smoker unit. Execute the Spandam father and son. Conquer CP9. Untie Aokiji's knot. There is one more prop. The influence has increased by more than 100 points than before. It seems that this is the case. He is constantly affecting the Marine soldiers on the Garp ship. But, for Ron, now the most important thing is, there are already 2 silver chests. It's open now. Let's wait for another silver treasure chest, and then synthesize a golden treasure chest? Ron thought for a moment, decided to wait. After all, maybe the Garp incident can be solved in a while. Get another silver treasure chest. As for the question of whether Garp will release water, Ron didn't even have to think about it. This guy sure does. Don't talk about it here. Even in Summit War, that high-end battle that attracted worldwide attention, Garp dares to let go. Even more so here. So, advertisement. Ron had no doubts. Garp will definitely let go after a while. And Ron's purpose this time, it's not to stop him from releasing water, but to teach him a lesson. We must make Garp dare not let go again in the future. The reason why this guy is so unscrupulous, it's not just because I'm proud of myself. Relying on his reputation as a Marine hero and its own strength. So I think the world government dare not touch him. This is the fundamental reason why he let go. Therefore, it is necessary not only to treat the symptoms, but also to treat the root cause. Let him know. Someone dares to touch him, you can also move him. That being the case, then teach him a painful lesson when he lets go. Let him understand, whether it is strength or fame. It's not the reason why he doesn't take this job seriously. It's not even a reason for him to seek convenience for his grandson. On a matter of principle, all Marines are treated equally. The soldier has a problem and needs to be punished. Vice Admiral has a problem with his thinking, nor can it be condoned. It's not that you have strength, you have fame. You can do whatever you want, so, it's time to take advantage of this opportunity. Knock knock Garp. Let him know, no matter how high he goes. Advertisement: he has always been a Marine, if not. Summit War. A month later, this guy puts on another show of letting off steam. That would really embarrass Marine. What Ron really wants to change is, it is to let Garp in the Summit War, a battle that attracted worldwide attention. Stop embarrassing Marine. To know, in that battle, all Marines fought tooth and nail. Garp as a Marine hero, as the benchmark for Marines' top combat power. As Straw Hat Luffy rushes to the execution platform as the last barrier. In the expectation of all Marine soldiers, but he was punched away by a young boy who had just gone to sea. This made the Marine soldiers who were knocked to the ground by the Straw Hat Boy fully expect Vice Admiral Garp to help them stop Luffy and teach the Straw Hat Boy a lesson. What do you want them to think, at this critical moment? Release water to a pirate. What does it mean? This means disrespect for the lives of all Marines. A desecration of all the battlefields they fought to protect. We, the little soldiers, have to risk our lives to stop the pirates. Just let a leader like you go? Then we work so hard. Why fight regardless of life? You might as well have said you couldn't stop Luffy. This saves us having to work hard. We are fighting. You are playing the role of a grandfather and grandson in love. How about we risk our lives to act with you? The Summit War was a mess. The blow to the entire Marine faith was extremely strong. This is not just as simple as releasing a pirate. Advertisement: the impact behind it, it's enough to shake the entire Marine's belief in fighting. This will be extremely difficult to eliminate. Before this, to all Marines, there is only one type of pirate. That's what can be caught, but after this Garp incident, let them know, there are 2 types of pirates. One can be caught. One cannot be caught. You can catch pirates who don't have any connections. But, a pirate with connections to Marine executives, you can't catch it. Justice is divided here. The soldiers raised their guns and pointed them at the pirates, ready to pull the trigger, but they also became confused. Justice is no longer so impartial, as a law enforcer. When you have doubts about justice, their combat effectiveness will become weaker. Their motivation will fade. A real army will gradually disappear. From the enforcers of justice, become a puppet thug for your superiors. Justice is no longer the only criterion for their actions. This is on such a large battlefield, the impact that a high-ranking Marine officer would have if he unleashed pirates. As an Inspector General, Ron would never allow this to happen. This would greatly frustrate Marines' sense of justice. It will also reduce Marines' reliability in the minds of the public. So we must take advantage of this opportunity. Give Garp a good whack. 046. First Battle Supervision, Attack Garp, Previous Chapter. Next chapter advertisement, Master Inspector General, let us also go up and help. CP9 said in unison. After all, Straw Hat Crew is their old rival. Just the other day, they were just defeated by the Straw Hat Crew. And this time, rescued by Ron, so, they need to show off. Prove yourself. After all, they had just sworn an oath of service to Ron. There is always a need to prove one's strength. Ron shook his head. Leave this matter to Garp. I have other tasks for you later. Let's go. Now come with me to see that guy Garp. Prepare to supervise the battle. Ron is the Inspector General. Catching pirates is not his business, his mission. It was to supervise Marine to catch pirates. This is his true job. If the pirates need him to catch them, so what else does Marine do? I didn't come here to work for Marine, but here to supervise Marine's work. So, catching pirates is Marine's job. Ron just needs to supervise the battle. And a poor performance against Marine. Carry out certain punishments. Generally speaking, when the leader is not paying attention, employees like to take advantage of others and be lazy. But, if the leader stands behind you and supervises the work, so, employees can only grit their teeth and work hard. This is the meaning of his existence as Inspector General. Ron ordered Stussy again. Advertisement, Stussy, you stay here and watch over Princess Vivi. Keep her safe and don't let her escape. Stussy immediately nodded and responded. Yes. The reason why Ron brought Princess Vivi here. It is of great use. After the explanation, Ron then led a team of men in black. Set off. Now, Garp and his party followed the direction indicated by the compass just now. Proceeded 50 kilometers. Really, a small house was found here. The cabin is right on the beach, just opposite their marine landing site. Next to it is a shipyard. It was brightly lit inside. There was a lot of laughter. You can even hear Luffy's voice. It is clear. This is where the Straw Hat Crew comes together. Came nearby. Garp took a deep breath. He frowned. Listen from here. They seem to be celebrating their victory in the Battle of Enies Lobby. At the same time, I am also happy about the new boat I am about to get. It seems like these guys make a scene at Enies Lobby. Not only did he not repent, on the contrary, he was very proud. If it were another pirate, Garp had already gone in and beat them up. Who made him his grandson? Garp is still a little proud. Being able to cause a scene in Enies Lobby and come back alive. He is indeed his grandson, but Garp also heard a message from it. That is, their new ship is built. There are conditions for leaving. Think of this. Advertisement. Garp breathed a sigh of relief. He was afraid that Luffy and the others would not have a boat. If that is the case, even if I wanted to run away, I couldn't. After all, if there is no boat, they are equivalent to being trapped in the capital of 7 waters. By the time Marine wants to catch them, it's just a matter of time. But it's different with a boat. If you have a boat, you can escape. After all, no matter how many people come to Marine, it won't matter. It's impossible to turn the entire island around. You will always find a breakthrough. Garp stood about 50 meters from the door. Through the window, you can see Luffy inside. Checked his physical condition. This guy. Look at this. The injuries all over his body have almost recovered. This made Garp feel relieved. At the same time, you can also weigh it yourself. The strength of the attack in a moment. After all, this is his own grandson. The attack was too heavy and it hurts. If the action is too light, it seems too fake again. Garp thought for a moment, secretly said, it seems like a very exaggerated idea. But there is no attack method used by birds. Garp thought of his big iron ball at this time. If you attack with a big iron ball, this scene must be very exaggerated, right? Can't it be said that he let things slip on purpose? I guess I can get away with it, swinging such a big iron ball. Ron can't say he doesn't try his best. Garp had already made up his mind. At this time, Coby stood up and said, "Mr. Garp, let me go first." Advertisement. Coby just mastered a Marine 6 styles or 2. So, eager to succeed, Garp shook his head and said, "Wait a moment. Now is not the best time to attack. Wait until Ron comes and call again." Garp used observation hockey to sense that Ron was almost there. "I didn't expect this guy to follow me, it seems. It's time to supervise me with determination, that being the case. Then wait for him to come." As expected, after 1 minute, Ron led a team of men in black. "Came here." Toshigi took the initiative to put the chair for Ron. Ron sat down, waved his hand. CP9 finally lifted the alert. Subsequently, stand in a line behind Ron. Ron looked at Garp and smiled. Then he said, "Garp, this is the first time this Inspector General has overseen a war. You can start attacking. Don't let this Inspector General down." Garp snorted coldly. Poker face. He has been in the military for decades. Experienced hundreds of battles, large and small. Also participated in the top battle, the Battle of God's Island. Roger was once cornered, but this is the first time someone has supervised the battle. It was the first time I fought and was watched by others. To be honest, Garp is very unhappy now, but there was no way to refuse. Garp made an offensive gesture towards Coby and Bellameber. Next moment, the two of them groaned. He rushed towards the house with lights on in front. "Inspector General, please take good care of me. I've officially arrested Luffy, 047. Luffy, Grandpa is here to catch you." Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Now, in this house by the sea. It was brightly lit inside, all members of the Straw Hat crew. They were all so excited inside that they couldn't sleep. Because they got a message, "You can have a new boat tomorrow." This is for them. It's a happy event, so they are all very happy. Zoro wiped the knife. He said excitedly, "Haha, Luffy. Do you think our bounty will be increased?" Luffy reveals a row of large white fangs. He chuckled. "If so, that would be great." Nami slapped Luffy and Zoro on the head. He clenched his fists and said angrily, "I wonder if you two are mentally ill. Is a high bounty a good thing? A high bounty means the pursuit of us will be more ferocious." Chopper hides behind Nico Robin, said, "Hey, Nami is so scary." Nico Robin squinted his eyes. He pressed his chin with his hand. "Look at this warm scene." He couldn't help but smile. "Nami-san, you are so charming when you hit people." Sanji circled around and came to Nami. Little red hearts flashed in his eyes. "He looks like a perverted pig." "Get away," Nami said angrily. "Really, not one of them is worried. What if we are targeted by the powerful Marine?" The corners of Zoro's mouth raised, he said without caring at all. "Then let me chop him." Luffy also laughed. "Then just shoot them away." Nico Robin smiled. They are really a group of reliable companions. They just returned from Eni's lobby. Now, he does have some unclear understanding of his own strength. However, advertisement at this time. Luffy, Zoro and Sanji's expressions. All became solemn. The three of them turned their heads to look in the direction of the door. Zoro quickly drew his sword, said immediately, "Somebody is coming." Luffy and Sanji frowned. He nodded with a very solemn expression. Yes." The words just fell. Bang! Suddenly the door was kicked open. A figure rushed towards Luffy at a speed invisible to the naked eye. Just in time. The corners of Luffy's mouth raised slightly. Just a meeting. Just knock the person down to the ground. It's Marine's move, but it's no longer useful to me. Luffy recognized Shao immediately, this skill of disappearing in an instant. There were some threats to him before, but after experiencing the Eni's lobby battle, Luffy's strength has improved greatly. This skill no longer poses any threat to him. Garp saw this scene. He couldn't help but grin. As expected of my grandson, it seems that my grandson. The strength has improved a lot, at the same time that Coby was pushed to the ground. Suddenly there was a flash of cold light. A figure jumped up from behind. The two scimitars were so fast that they could not be heard. Slashed at Zoro. Lion Sing. Zoro drew his sword. One strike. Directly knocked the opponent's double swords to the ground. And said, "The Marine who came this time is just like that." The walls of the room were completely knocked out. So far, there is no longer any barrier between those inside and those outside. Both parties saw each other. Garp led Marine to surround the outside. However, advertisement Zoro and others saw this scene. But there was no fear, but his expression turned serious. "I didn't expect to meet Marine so soon." Marine Vice Admiral? He is really a big shot that I have never dealt with before. Zoro and Sanji took 2 steps forward, standing at the front. "Start gearing up." It seems we are getting ready to fight. If you are afraid, green algae head, just hide behind me. Sanji lights a cigarette, blow out a smoke ring. Then he said. Zoro also untied the green turban wrapped around his arms. Tie it on the head. You stinky cook, don't hold me back for a while. Their instinctive feeling, the enemy we encountered this time was unusual. But, it's no longer time for them to just go to sea. Experience the Enies lobby battle. Everyone's strength has been enhanced. Nowadays, they face Marine, not as scared as before. And, first don't think Marine is that great either. On Enies lobby, so much Marine on defense. In the end, they rushed in and took their companions out. This time, now that Marine came to the door without knowing what he was looking for. So, just get rid of it. Thinking of this, everyone showed their best attitude, ready to fight. The scene was very anxious. The battle is about to break out. Sudden, Marine came over and showed off his headlights several times. Light up this place brightly. At this time, Luffy suddenly recognized the old man wearing a dog head hat. He exclaimed in disbelief. Grandfather? Why you? This call. The entire Straw Hat team was instantly confused. Advertisement Marine Vice Admiral is actually Luffy's grandfather? This. Luffy, since he is your grandfather, he shouldn't make things difficult for us. Nami said suddenly. Chopper also looked better. Great, if it's Grandpa Luffy, he will let us go. Ha ha ha. Luffy, have you ever talked to Grandpa like this? Don't you welcome Grandpa here? Garp grabbed his waist with both hands. Laughed loudly. Grandpa, why are you here? Luffy held his nose while holding it. While saying, since it is this Grandpa who is here, then you can rest assured. Of course I'm here to catch you. Garp was also picking his nose. He replied, grandfather and grandson are completely in sync. Catch me? Luffy was stunned. Suddenly he looked around. Only then did he realize that he was surrounded. Not only that, he also saw a few familiar faces. Is that bald guy the one who killed Crocodile in the newspaper? Aren't those people at the back CP9? Why are they here? Luffy et al. Seeing CP9 appear here unscathed was even more surprising than seeing Garp. Garp. What are you waiting for? It's time to take action. Ron looked a little unkind, said indifferently. Garp frowned, somewhat unhappy, snorted, said. I know, subsequently, looking at Luffy again. He moved his wrist. His expression became kind and he said. Grandpa wanted to catch up with you, but there's a troublesome guy here supervising the battle. So Grandpa had to take action. 048. Ron. Garp. You take action yourself. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement. Grandpa, please stop joking. Luffy looked surprised. Of course Grandpa is not kidding you. Let's save the reminiscences and other things for later. Garp waved his hand. Subsequently, hundreds of Marine soldiers rushed forward. In an instant, the shouts were overwhelming. It immediately woke up everyone around him. The originally dark streets, in an instant, thousands of lights lit up. The entire street was also illuminated. What happened over there? Why does it feel like someone is fighting? Go and have a look. People among the pirates still prefer to watch the excitement. Suddenly, a large number of good people gathered around. It's Straw Hat and the others. Isn't this Marine hero Garp? They actually started fighting here. Why does that bald man sitting there look so familiar? Everyone else is standing, but he is the only one sitting. Oh, I remembered it. I saw it in the newspaper. It's the Inspector General. Go and inform Mayor Bingshan that a big shot is coming. A Marine Vice Admiral suddenly arrived in the Seven Waters capital, as well as a new Inspector General. Such a big thing. The mayor must be notified. Wow. This city is ready to sleep. Suddenly, it has become a sea of people. Get lively. Because the location where Ron and others are located is an abandoned shipyard on the seaside. Located in a low-lying location, because of the special structure of the Seven Waters capital. Where city residents live, the terrain is usually relatively high. So, advertisement this also makes it easier for these noisy residents to watch the fun. You can see it from the street looking down, if it is a normal time. In fact, they are not so curious about the battle between Marine and pirates. But this time is different, because, this time the pirate is Luffy. The man who caused a scene in Enies lobby. The Marine who came this time was Garp. That legendary Marine hero Vice Admiral. Not only that. What attracts them most is sitting on a chair, the bald one behind the row of men in black. This bald man is so discerning, especially in the world of pirates. There are very few bald heads, so, I've seen it once. I will never forget it. The feat of killing Shichibukai in Alabasta. Not only through live video broadcast on the day. And the next day's newspaper, the headlines on the front page also printed this matter. So, the bald man instantly became a household name. Is this why? This time, Ron appears. It can attract so many people to come and watch. Public execution of Shichibukai, but it brought a lot of fans to Ron. After all, the world has been suffering for a long time. Ron can help them out, it's really satisfying. They wanted to see the man in person, ever since. This battle, under the gaze of most residents of the Seven Waters capital. Officially launch. Now, facing these marine soldiers swarming up. Straw Hat Crew is eager to try. Luffy, advertisement. It seems your grandpa doesn't want to let us go. So don't blame us for hurting your grandpa later. Zoro and Sanji looked at each other, then said. Luffy nodded, he moved his wrist. His expression also became excited. Ah, but you have to be careful, that old guy is very strong. Zoro smiled. That's what makes it interesting. If it wasn't strong, it would be too boring. Zoro is so confident. It's not unreasonable. Just a vice admiral, how much stronger can it be? It's not like they haven't fought vice admiral, we also played against each other in Eni's lobby. Just so. Sanji was not far behind and said. But we have to be careful about that bald guy. He's been sitting there from the beginning until now. And CP9 seems to be taking orders from him. Something's wrong. Sanji's intuition is still very keen after all, from when Ron first showed up there. Sanji has been paying attention to him, don't worry about that for now. Let's finish off the Marines in front of us, Zoro shouted. Then the three-sword style reappeared, tornado. In an instant, the wind was blowing hard, directly knocking the group of Marine soldiers who just rushed up to the ground. Looking at this scene, Ron frowned, serves as Inspector General. His job is to supervise the battle, this fight. There were command errors from the beginning, now. Advertisement. The reason why he was so unhappy, it's entirely because these Marine soldiers were injured unnecessarily. Garp can obviously solve this battle alone, now. But these Marine soldiers, who were obviously not equal in strength, were allowed to charge first. Do this, undoubtedly useless, it can only increase casualties for no reason. As an excellent general, first thing, it is to judge the strength between ourselves and the enemy. Then, the dispatch matches the strength of the opponent. Or someone who is stronger than the opponent, fight. Rather than regardless of the occasion, regardless of opponents. Always have Marine soldiers charge, these Marine soldiers. It's okay for dealing with ordinary pirate hordes. But, met the officers on the pirate ship, they shouldn't have come out to deal with it. It should be dealt with by the Marine general, soldiers against generals. This is the most basic understanding, and Vice Admiral Garp didn't do that. Facing the Straw Hat Crew who are obviously stronger than the Marine soldiers. He actually let the Marine soldiers charge first. Ron was very unhappy, very disappointed with Garp. This was not a mistake Marine Vice Admiral could make. If he is trying to release water, and if you make a mistake intentionally, that would be too much. Ron was furious, immediately. He slammed the chair. Shouted, Garp, get your men to stand down. You take action yourself. 049. Garp's terrifying strength. One punch can kill a kid. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. You guys go over and bring those injured Marine soldiers over. Ron waved. He ordered the CP9s behind him, yes. Now, a few of them had completely taken orders from Ron. So, don't ask why, he went directly to carry the injured person over. Subsequently, light green light emitted from Ron's hand again. Advanced healing techniques, just a few seconds. These Marine soldiers have been restored to their original state. All injuries have healed instantly, this move. It really shocked them. Then Ron said, the more you sweat during training, the less you will bleed on the battlefield. You are too weak. Starting from tomorrow, follow my people and do morning exercises every day. Although Ron's tone towards Garp was harsh, but for these Marines, it does smell like a spring breeze. These soldiers were deeply moved. Thank you, Lord Inspector, and at this moment, Garp, who had just been taught a lesson by Ron, I couldn't help but darken my face. Being a Marine Vice Admiral, he also understands. What I did just now was indeed a bit irresponsible. Luffy's group is indeed very powerful, these Marines shouldn't be put at risk. Then, Garp rolled up his sleeves, said, I'll do it myself. Now you are satisfied. Ron said nothing, just watching Garp quietly. Garp turned his head, I moved my wrist, staring at Luffy. Let Grandpa see if you have grown over the years? Advertisement. And at this time, Zoro suddenly stood in front of Luffy. Holding two swords, he said eagerly, is it finally your turn? However, if you want to deal with our captain, you must first pass me. Garp. Oh, is it so? Luffy, don't blame me for hurting your grandpa. Zoro couldn't help but say, his eyes are as bright as a torch. Like a wild beast staring at its prey. Attack instantly. Just choose to do it. 3000 world. Suddenly there was a flash of cold light. Extremely fast. Slashed at Garp. Succeeded. Seeing that Garp did not dodge, Zoro couldn't help but secretly thought. Didn't expect it to go so smoothly, Sanji also said. Great, are you going to succeed? This guy Green Algae Head actually stole the spotlight. However, just when the slash was about to fall on Garp, suddenly and unexpectedly appeared, snapped, just hear a snap. The blade stopped just a punch away from Garp, 2 knives. He was caught directly by Garp, he just held the blade with his bare hands. So that Zoro's attack can no longer make an inch. This. How can it be? Zoro looked at this in disbelief. His knife was actually caught in someone's hand during the attack. He didn't even scratch the palm of his hand. How is this possible? Without hockey, you can't become a top swordsman. Kid, you're still far behind. Garp laughed, then he held the 2 swords in his hands and exerted force suddenly. Dark hockey wraps around it. Advertisement just a moment. There was a click. The 2 knives in Zoro's hands broke suddenly. Including that 3rd generation ghost, that is to say. Except for the word, Wado, in his mouth, 2 other knives. All were left in half. The other half, crushed into pieces by this man's bare hands. This. Everyone around was stunned. Everyone lamented that Garp's strength and Yamato were terrifying. This is the first time I heard that a swordsman can be defeated like this. The knife was crushed directly. The difference in strength is probably too big. Zoro was stunned. The whole person just stayed there. How can the gap be so big? Zoro muttered. Chopper, Nami said one sentence each. He said in disbelief. Luffy, is this your grandpa? Isn't this too strong? In this case, we have no chance of winning. This is the first time I've seen Zoro defeated so completely. Luffy also frowned, then he said, I have already said that this old guy is very strong. At this time, another black shadow suddenly rushed forward. Get out of the way, Green Algae Head. Why are you just standing there stupidly? Sanji saw that something was wrong, immediately spin in place. Devil Wind kicks. At the same time, under the action of high temperature caused by friction. The other leg is burning rapidly, Sanji raised his arms. 1 foot on the ground. The whole body is half bowed. Hair flies upward. Immediately, jump into the air. Quickly kicked towards Garp, advertisement chain kicks. The names of various moves came out of his mouth. Suddenly, dust is flying, smoke filled the air. You can't even see the 2 people in the middle. After a fierce attack, Sanji stood on the ground tiredly, panting. Did it work? Looks like I hit it. You must have been seriously injured if you were kicked by such an attack, right? Chopper and Nami covered their mouths, dare not breathe. Staring intently into the smoke, a brush sound. The smoke was dispersed by force. Garp actually stood there unscathed. The continuous kicks just now, he didn't even move. And there is no defense at all. Sanji's attack. It couldn't do any harm to Garp at all. There was no way to break his defense. Garp dusted himself off. He said calmly, that's not how it works. Next moment, disappeared directly in place, shave. Subsequently, a sudden kick to Sanji's stomach. Boom. Sanji felt dizzy all over. Fly back quickly. Several houses were knocked down one after another. The crowds of people watching on the street, a look of astonishment. The opponent kicked Marine several times. No one even moved. As a result, they kicked me back, but he kicked him out so far. Isn't this strength gap too terrifying? In this case? Isn't Straw Hat Luffy his opponent? It's your turn, Luffy. Garp reveals 2 rows of large white fang, smiled. 050. Garp, try letting the water go again, don't force me to beat you. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement, Sanji. Zoro. Luffy shouted. Now, facing Garp's terrifying strength. Chopper and Nami were already terrified, there is no hope of victory at all. What to do? Must kill, Flamestar, at this time. Usopp, transformed into a Sniper King, attacks from a distance. Now, he has not officially returned to the team yet. But, always nearby. At this time, they saw Luffy and they were attacked. Support immediately from a distance. Finger pistol. Garp didn't look back. Point directly behind you. A hissing sound. It was as if there was an invisible attack. Directly penetrated the Flamestar. There was an explosion in midair. And Usopp in the distance. Instantly it felt like something had been pierced through my chest. Coughing violently and vomiting blood, lost combat effectiveness. Garp is powerful. Not this group of people at all. It can be questioned. Performing well. Ron sat in the chair. He nodded thoughtfully, regarding Garp's current performance. Gave good reviews. This old guy, as long as you fight seriously. So, his fighting ability is nothing to say, however. Ron is still not sure how he will perform next, after all. The person he is beating now has nothing to do with him. No need to release water, but then, it was Luffy he was going to fight. This is his grandson. This is the most important thing. Advertisement. Look at this guy Garp, how to deal with it. Somebody come, bring me the shells. Garp rolled up his sleeves, while laughing, while waving back. After a while, several marine soldiers struggled to carry a basket of cannonballs. Place it in front of Garp. Garp picked one up. Then he weighed it with his hands. This is a cannonball that only 2 people can barely lift. Take it in Garp's hand, but as light as a steamed bun. Subsequently, to Luffy, smiled and said, "Fistbones, meteorites." Just when no one knew what Garp was going to do, Garp actually threw the cannonball directly, a hissing sound. The speed and power of thrown cannonballs, it's actually stronger than the main gun of a marine warship. The people of the Seven Waters capital watching from a high platform. Everyone was frightened by this scene. He couldn't help but exclaimed in surprise. This is too exaggerated, thrown cannonballs with bare hands. What a terrifying power this is, Garp at this moment. Feeling proud in my heart, this is the effect he wants. The more exaggerated the attack, the better. The more exaggerated the attack, the better you can cover up your leaks. How about the Inspector General? Can you tell? Rumble, Luffy dodges the projectile. In an instant, a house behind exploded, so powerful. Run. We are no match for him now, Luffy shouted. Subsequently, start running towards the seaside. At the same time, advertisement Zoro carried the seriously injured Sanji. A frantic evacuation began, however, it's not over yet. Garp began grabbing a shell in one hand, then shouted loudly. Fistbone, meteor swarm, bang bang bang. The 2 hands are like machine guns, extremely fast. Keep throwing the cannonballs. Suddenly, the whole sky is densely packed. All shells. The scene is very grand, it seems. He indeed looked very serious about attacking. How about it? Do you see it? I tried my best. Luffy just ran to the beach. These shells are like a meteor shower. They have also been pursued. Rubber balloon. Luffy immediately inflated a balloon. Blocking everyone back. The shell landed on his swollen belly. There was no explosion, instead, it bounced back directly from him. When Garp takes out the shells, Ron has made up his mind. This guy will never change his ways. He even thought about releasing the water. Luffy is rubber fruit. Could he be afraid of shells? You are his grandfather. Don't you know the characteristics of rubber fruit? Ron doesn't care about the Nika form of the human fruit phantom beast species for now. Just the artillery attack alone, it's of no use to him. So, Garp this guy. You can obviously rush up and kill Luffy. Just like with Sanji and Zoro, but he came up with a trick of throwing cannonballs. Isn't this already obvious? Advertisement, isn't this a double standard for Chigogo? When you attacked Zoro and Sanji just now, not so. Ron's face was obviously unhappy, he said in a deep voice. Garp, don't challenge my bottom line again and again. Don't say you don't know that his fruit ability is not afraid of cannonballs. What's the use of all the extravagance you're attacking here? Show me your true skills. Ron is here to supervise the battle. So, for this performance of Garp, Ron was very dissatisfied. Garp, don't blame me for not warning you. You already have 2 yellow cards with me. You have one last chance. If you don't show some real skill, catch Luffy. Don't blame me for attacking you, sometimes. Teach the other person a lesson. Let the other person know. There are people outside. Someone can control him. It is very necessary. If not, some people will rely on their own strength and contribution to Marine. Do whatever you want. Garp snorted. I didn't expect that Ron would see my little thoughts. It seems, this time it is necessary to use the trump card. The attack that I had planned before, that was an exaggerated and useless attack. This time, you have to be careful. I used all my strength. Garp said, seriously. Subsequently, he pulled out a huge iron ball from nowhere. It is larger than a warship. Garp wrapped the chain around his hand with one hand. Then he threw it away, making a circular motion in the air. The wind pressure caused by the huge iron ball. There were several levels of strong winds in an instant. Garp raised the corners of his mouth. This time, you don't think I'm letting you go, do you? I don't believe you can still see it.